Thresh being picked up for Xayah, I like that as well because as if Xayah herself doesn't have enough safety, now she's got even more safety, and it's also a really, really strong answer against the Nautilus.
Oh, absolutely, especially with that. Like, I don't know. Personally, I would not be picking a Nautilus into a Xayah, but that's just myself. I feel like that's kind of it just feels too much of a risk because you're hooking them right into the Zaya feathers, and Zaya just pulls them right back. It doesn't matter where you are; you're gonna get hit by all of them. So it's a little bit of an interesting choice to pick that Nautilus into the Zaya of all
For
things.
sure, for sure. In that aspect, I do very much agree with you. And there is also, Zaya can just say, bye bye, depth charge, and it just doesn't hit her anymore. But at the same time, I do like the Nautilus pick because it's extremely stable, right? It doesn't matter if you go 0-20 or 0-5 or heck, even 20-0, you will always be stunning the exact same amount of time. And at the end of the day, Nautilus is kind of just there to be a big damage sponge and CC bot. That's all he's really good for. And it's also a pretty solid blind pick, I find, because even if the bot lane matchup's unplayable, the Q resetting whenever you hit a wall, it makes some really nice roams.
That's fair, especially when you're playing as a top laner in a bot lane. Nautilus is a champion that is very similar playstyle to a lot of other top lane champions. Those very hard engages, the timing is
Mhm.
exactly going to be the same as something like a Scion or
Sure.
even like a Tom Kench, which is banned here. But I would
Yeah,
not
yeah.
be shocked if they do pull it out in the future, if they do end up moving on here.
Ari picked up as well is very, very cool. Is the bro? Ooh, yeah. I mean, hey, the Nasus pick is certainly very, very hype. We got yeah, a couple comments in the chat talking about the Nasus. I like it a lot as well. Is it going to be the MVP of this game? That all really depends on how top lane is going to go, because we already know how much Nasus going to run away with the game if he's given like 20-30 minutes to actually stack it up.
The question is that I think the biggest question I should say is with Nasus being in this game, is bot lane going to be strong enough to be able to win this
Right,
fast enough? Like
right,
you were
right.
saying, if he's given that time, but I also think if he's given that space, bot lane is typically played with a lot of people in the same grouped up area.
Yeah,
Top laners are more used to split pushing,
for
which
sure.
gives them a little bit of an advantage here. What I really like about this, what they're hovering here with the Zahen, is you don't know. Most likely Zahen is going to be going top. However,
Yeah,
we've seen some pretty bizarre things in this Ember Cinder league.
for sure.
I would not be shocked to see a Zahen jungle with Nasus top either.
Right, it's interesting, and again, like the flexibility of these champions is actually really, really underestimated. I'm not gonna lie to you, because again, for a lot of these players, whenever they see Nasus, they're like, "Oh, he's just a top laner. He can't jungle. His early game is just way too weak." And then the same kind of thing is said for Zahan, because when he came out, he was like almost unanimously like the top lane champion of all time. He's a big lane bully, and like that's his biggest strength. Why would you not take him in the lane? But at the same time, like you're saying, if they swip swap, it can really, really throw off the game plan. As we head over to bot lane's last pick for this one, I would assume they're going to be drafting a top laner here, because Wukong top has really fallen out of favor. I would like to see
Oh
it picked up
yeah.
again, but you know, Wukong, he'll do whatever he wants. But Rebecca, I am very curious. There are a lot of junglers, like for lack of a better word, ultimate junglers, like your Sejuanis, your Nautiluses, your Hekarims, your all that stuff, that like to go Zeke's first, right? It's a really good tank item. It gives you some nice AoE, and also, of course, gives you that ultimate ability haste. Do you think that we could be seeing Wukong jungles ever build this? Rush the Zeeks if the game is bad,
You know, I never actually considered it with Wukong. That's a good
right?
idea.
Right?
Uh, I don't know because the item is still a little. I'm not used to the new stats of the item yet. I'm still used
Right,
to
right.
it providing the old buffs that it used to give with
Hmm.
the benefits on auto attacks for ADCs. I'm still getting used to the little AoE damage. I know
Yes,
that
yes,
was a
yes.
change that happened like 2 years ago, but still.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I know I'm a support player. I should know this by now, but uh, either
Didn't
way,
didn't like really old Zeeks give crit or something like that? Hold on, I gotta look this
I
up.
don't even remember. You're really throwing back here.
Hey, listen, classic was released a little bit ago. In the spirit, I think it's only fair that we go back to the older
I would
item.
I would like to see a Teemo here in top lane. I'll be honest with you.
Ooh, yeah, that would be
Because I feel
absolutely
like Teemo v
crazy.
Zahen with the Nasus
Yeah,
picked as well, and
yeah.
Kai'Sa, these are all very auto attack heavy champions.
Mm,
You could also even stop that Nautilus. So
sure.
I, I feel like that's kind of a safe pick as well for bot laners, since it
Mhm.
is that range champion that they're used to playing to begin with.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I'm expecting a very early skirmish coming out in top lane. I think that the Zahen is a very good call against people who you know are going to be more focused on who is in your lane versus necessarily what is going on in your lane.
Yeah, yeah. My bad. I'm just looking up the old like the original Zeeks from like season 7, and basically like it stored up to like 100 charges, and then when you hit someone, you and your partner got 20% increased ability power, and you gave both of you, support included, 50% crit chance.
Wow.
Like, this item was bonkers. I'm so glad they changed it, but you're not wrong with ADCs getting like better attack modifications, because like that's absolutely wild that yeah, ever existed in general. But I can see why they removed it, because like why would a support ever want crits? But
Yeah.
in saying that,
I
we
am
got Senna
receiving
now.
word here though. Their last pick was actually GP game plank here, so we'll be seeing
Ooh,
a couple more
okay.
barrels.
I really do like the GP, because one thing about the top laners comp is like they don't really have crazy DPS, right? Nasus late game, he does get crazy DPS because of his Q. Zehen, not really, but like their main focus is going to be the Aurora and the Kaisa. If there's any champion that is phenomenal at turning a bunch of squishy champions into just paste, it is the Gangplank late game.
I do think that it's a very bad pick in Zahen. Usually I'd comment about the fact that it's an interesting pick, but Zahen's Q does apply on hits twice, which means
Right,
that he's
right,
able to
right.
destroy the barrels instantaneously after the first charge goes away, which GP is not going to be able to counterplay at all. He doesn't have that speed to be able to clear it that Zahen does. So
Yeah,
the fact that Q is up so fast, I feel like that's not the call. But we'll see how they are able to pull it out.
for sure, for sure.
It is a champion that is, not traditionally like a bot lane champion, but it
Yeah,
is
yeah,
bot lane style champion because
for
of how
sure.
harass heavy it is in that top lane. And if I
Mhm.
am correct, we do have D up in that top lane for ADC. Yep.
Okay, okay.
They're like the. This is gonna get
For
so
bot?
confusing. Can we rename these teams, please?
No, no,
Because
no. Stop and bot.
top and bot lane here.
Yeah,
But what I'm saying, bot laners top here.
yeah, yeah.
This is see that
Bot laner
that's
stop. Yeah.
that's why I think we should rename the teams. That's just,
Oh, nope. It's okay. It's okay.
nope,
Go for it.
not gonna happen.
Nope, not at all.
Either way, we are in for some very interesting games here, and definitely some pride and some bragging rights on the line, as well as some money as well, as I heard. This is actually a
Really?
prize match. I
Ooh,
believe it's
okay.
$10 of RP for each team member on the winning team.
All
So
right.
this is a little bit of a different, there is actually stakes here. This isn't
Sure.
like the All-Star match that we had a couple days ago,
Yeah, yeah.
which was a little messy, to say the least.
Sure, for sure.
That was last week's game. So we'll see just how much more these teams really want this win. Personally, I
Mhm.
still think that the production should have a team, but that's just me. I think we deserve a team. We deserve an
It'd be
opportunity.
pretty
We
cool.
are
It'd
a
be pretty
role
cool.
on this roster, okay? We
That's true.
deserve it.
That's true. You know.
get away from me. 'Cause you are on my mind, on my mind. 'Cause you are on my mind, on my mind.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to game number 1, top versus bot in the role rivals of the Ember Cinder League. Let's kick this baby off. We got Gareth and Rebecca on the microphone for this bad boy and the next one as well. And going into this one, we got a lot of crazy stuff. We got that Gangplank coming out up against the Zahen. The Naz is going head-to-head against the Wukong in the jungle. Aurora versus Ari in the mid lane. And down to the bot lane, T-Dye and Ratsu on Kaisa and Nautilus respectively, going head-to-head against Ballistic and Mythic Chaos on Xayah and Thresh respectively. And an early
I
hook.
do think the fight to watch out here is this jungle matchup. We'll
yeah.
see Nasus is going to want that early lead because he struggles a little bit in the early game for that jungle.
For sure.
He needs to get farther ahead to prevent the invades that Wukong will have just because he's such a fast clearer in comparison to Nasus. But we'll see how that ends up going. Bot lane appears to be trying to get this nasty little early pick on the Kaisa.
Ooh, but they are underestimating her damage as Nautilus is coming in. That's not going to be... Oh, no, it's probably a kill. No, the root didn't go off, but it's still a crazy amount of damage, though. Top lane going absolutely crazy in bots. The hook is up. You got to go for it, Nautilus. That's going to be the double kill. Well, not the... Yeah, there's the double kill. Look at that. Yep. Top lane going crazy already. I mean, they're winning bot lane. They're probably going to be winning top lane because, like you were saying, Zahen into GP is horrid for Gangplank.
However, it just looks like Raining Wolves doesn't really know the matchup. Seems like there's a little... The auto-attacking that Zahen is doing here seems a little slow. Like, it seems like he doesn't know how to play Zahen, like, as well as other characters. I know Raging Wolves has played, but I don't know if it's necessarily a comfort pick here.
Gotcha.
I think maybe it could have been selected because it was last pick, wasn't it?
I believe it was like middle of the road. I do know for a fact that Dietz does actually play a fair bit again. Well, not a fair bit's like a little bit too much, but I do know that this isn't their first or even 10th game on the champion. They played a handful of games on Gangplank.
Okay. So it'll be interesting to see just what we might see here in this top lane. I wonder if Raging Wolves knows the Q tech because it doesn't look like he's utilizing it all too much. Meanwhile, in this mid lane, we're seeing a nice little skirmish coming out from this REV Aurora. Both of them getting their electrocute procs off, getting each other to about a little lower than half health.
Sure. One thing I do want to point out, though, is actually T-Dye, with the 2 extra kills, actually bought a Cull and a Longsword, which is really interesting.
Such a top lane thing to do.
Right? Yeah. I wasn't thinking that initially, but now that you bring it up, that does actually make sense, because T-Dye is a big top lane player. Typically, you wouldn't want to go damage, try to get a Hearthbound Axe. Or maybe a recurve, probably not recurve bow, but like definitely some kind of attack speed. Yeah, boots as well is another really good one, but opting for the CS game is pretty based. I think this team is going to be going for a lot of scaling with Nasus in the jungle. So I don't think it's too crazy of a strategy.
No, definitely not. Kaisa is always good with that Cole, just because that Q allows her to target so many different minions, makes her last hitting a lot easier. Xayah might have some troubles here just trying to get some farm out.
Yeah.
Simply because Nautilus is able to zone off so well against Thresh and Xayah, and she doesn't have the kind of range without minions that she wants to be able to have against a Kaisa.
Well, they are going to note the position of the Nasus, which is going to foil his plans of getting some sweet stacks in the bot lane. I do also want to say that Thresh is actually quite good into Nautilus, so I'm surprised that the Nautilus is having so much pressure that he has right now.
I think that early kill really gave him such a significant amount.
That's fair, yeah.
Exhaust was not actually popped there, and nor was Xayah's flash.
I see.
So they'll actually have this in these coming fights. We'll see if they end up using it.
Oh, that's rough.
It looks like Nautilus ended up hooking a minion there, unfortunately.
It happens to all of us.
Oh, but the Thresh hook does come through. We'll see the root come through with that Xayah 3 feathers landing to be able to root Nautilus
See,
in place.
the Nautilus Q hitbox really is a curse and a blessing, because, you know, it's a blessing sometimes, because, like, we have all seen those hooks, and hell, even I've thrown some of those hooks where it does not hit in a million years, but Riot's like, actually, you know what, you could have this one. But then it's also a curse, because, you know, there are times like that when he's hooking a minion, and it just leads to just absolute chaos in the bot lane. You know, you get too aggressive, you fall on a tower, and now it's just all downhill, and Thresh, I mean, you really just played that to perfection, I'm not gonna lie. If Kaisa can get one here, maybe it's not so bad.
Ooh.
All right, T9 takes those.
That really felt like a top lane fight there. Trying to get that one last little kill
Yeah,
before you end up losing it. That's
For sure.
when you're playing in top lane, you try to get as much as you possibly can before you die from a gank. And if you if you happen to pick off your laner, that's a W.
It's an absolute W. Although
T9 really showing just how capable they are as a duelist. That Irelia player really showing their capability on a champion that plays very similarly, honestly.
Really?
I mean, personally, that's how I see it.
Okay,
just because of the amount of chase potential that she has.
Ooh, I guess, yeah, I guess. I thought Kaisa was a little bit more hit and run.
It depends on how you're playing her, and this is a
Right.
lethal
I mean,
tempo Kaisa at the end of the day, not a Hail of Blades.
Sure, for sure.
As soon as I had an ultimate come through here, doesn't actually have the grab yet, but does get it off in time. Not early enough, unfortunately. Vitamin K able to do a little too much.
Vitamin K.
Yeah, scurvy.
Oh, of course. Never mind. No, I get it. I thought the name was Vitamin K, and we just had it wrong on the scoreboard. I was like, what the heck? Like, am I illiterate? What's going on? No, that makes a lot more sense now. Never mind.
The name of the Eternal is Vitamin K.
Oh, is it really? That's really funny.
Yeah.
All right.
It's
okay,
one of those things you only know if you play the character.
Gotcha. No, I'm not a huge Gangplank player, unfortunately, but Wukong gonna try to get a little bit of this dragon pressure off, but Ratsu is right there. They've got a hook, and this time there's no minions around, so this is basically a guaranteed hook onto a champion if they so feel pressured to. Wukong
I don't know if he's gonna get there in
very,
time,
very
but the
deep.
clone-
Holy! Actually blows the flash to get out there, and Aurora is probably going to be following suit just for some damage. Ari Charm is going to land, but I don't think the fight is going to start. They don't have anything, but the Link Between Worlds does come out. So does the Spirit Rush. A little bit of an exchange in the jungle, but nothing too crazy.
Raining Wolves is definitely showing their capability on this side now. I spoke a little too soon, obviously. Xayah does get exhausted here just to be able to help Nautilus get out. Level 6 comes through for both bot laners. We'll see if they re-engage here just before that Thresh does get level 6 himself. But in the meantime, there's quite a bit of fight going on in this top lane. I think that DT Dub might be looking at a future role as a top laner.
Yeah?
You did mention that they play quite a bit of Gangplank.
I believe they are a top laner.
Really?
I'm pretty sure, unless I have my player notes wrong, I'm pretty sure Deet is a bit of a top lane player. Like they play a couple different roles, but I do believe that top is their main role. Again, chat, maybe you can fact check me on that one, but I'm pretty darn sure they are a big top lane guy.
Interesting.
Now,
Ooh,
I am
pull coming through.
Oh, for sure. At this hen, showing the reason why they are such a good matchup against the Gangplank is Wukong is going to be thrown into their own jungle as the hen. Probably looking for a bit of a chase down here. Is this going to be a kill? Maybe they get pulled back. That's a nice wither, but yeah, it's a cycle. That's a big investment. But the goat Ratsu takes the kill, so maybe it's not the most worth thing in the world for top. But importantly, they didn't blow any. Oh, I take that back. They did blow an ultimate.
Yeah, there was a little bit of value getting out of there, and they will get grubs out of it as well.
Yeah,
so
not bad.
We'll see a little bit of value coming from this one. Obviously, Kaisa definitely has the ability to be on their own in that bot lane right now with the 3 kills. Xayah did get 2 in that last fight, as we saw before, so there isn't too much of a gold differential. However, that being said, Xayah actually has a full item, so I kind of take that back what I said. Xayah has a full item, while Kaisa only has components at the moment.
Absolutely. Oh, whoa, Aurora coming in hot there, actually flashing forwards. That's Ari's TP in place. Oh my goodness. Oh no.
They thought they had Ignite.
Oh no. That is such a Chovy move. The Gangplank ulti is only going to do a bit of tickling. The idea was there, but oh my gosh, Wolf and Alchemist, do not clip that. Chat, please don't clip that. His team is going to use that as leverage when he wants to play something crazy bot lane.
Wolven is
Oh,
such a
shit.
good bot laner, and I've seen time and time again, but this is just...
Oh no.
Ugh. The
That
Ignite
was-
wasn't there.
No, that's
Sorry.
unfortunate. It was honestly, it reminds me of that one Chovy versus Faker 1v1. I don't know if you saw that, but Chovy was Talia and did the exact same thing. Oh my goodness, down to the bot lane.
Oh,
I mean,
big skirmish now.
action's going down. I don't even care. I'm still wrapped up with the Wolf and Alchemist play. But yeah, a bit of an unlucky engage for Ratsu. You know, overestimating the strength of the Kaisa early game, which honestly isn't too hard to see. They do have a Kraken Slayer, but at the same time, you really can't afford to underestimate the Xayah damage.
I think they just bought the Kraken, because I remember mentioning in the last
for
fight
real?
that they
Okay.
didn't have a full item.
Right.
So the Yuntal really coming through clutch, that full
Actually,
item.
yeah. You know what? I do really want to ask, what are your opinions on Yuntal? Because there's another caster that I cast with on the weekends, and they are a Yuntal hater. They hate the item. They say it's fake. They say it's garbage. I'm like, dude, it can't be that bad. But I want to hear your thoughts.
Personally, I'm actually a pretty big fan of Yuntal. I think it's a great addition to this game.
Yeah.
The item I don't like is Collector. That's just me.
Okay.
I feel like it's a very selfish item. It basically
I see.
guarantees that you're going to get all the gold from the kills. I
Right,
know that there
right.
are some champions, they deserve the final blows. They need them. You're playing Rengar, you're playing... what's the final blow champion? I
Talon.
understand if you're playing like Draven. Draven
Ooh,
as well.
yeah.
Even Pike, utilizing that lethality and the crit. Like, there are some
Sure.
champions that really do benefit off of the item. But at the same time, there are also champions that just don't need it. That really just make it so difficult for their allies to really make an impact on the game, as especially if you're ahead, it's just not a very good item. So many feathers set up for this Xayah. She'll pull the through,
Oh my
but
gosh! The thresh is
just
the
barely
goat!
gets out with the threshold. We'll see the ult come through.
Wow.
It won't be able to cut off too many, but it does cut off the Aurora. It does look that little disengage was enough. We'll see.
Wow.
Depth charge was just barely got enough damage because he got exhausted.
Yeah, what a beautiful play from bot lane, from bot though. My goodness, I mean the bot lane played really nicely as well. Don't get it twisted, but man, oh man, the rotations there were absolutely crazy. It certainly looked like they had a good jump on the Xayah, but
I mean,
Feather
Kaisa was
Storm.
in bot lane the whole time, so she wasn't even in the fight there. I do think that that had a pretty big factor on this, for sure.
yeah,
The fact
right.
that
Because
Kaisa just wasn't there, the rotation wasn't. When you're in top lane, sometimes you think a little too much about yourself, and it's kind of that island mindset. So,
True,
T-Dye
true.
might just have
it all
not
comes back.
recognize that right off the bat.
It all comes back to the top lane experience, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely does.
Sure, he's
Raging
played the role
Wolves
for a
really
while.
showing though.
Yeah, this Zehen has started to become a problem. In the early game, I could see the gameplay winning out there, maybe a little bit of stage fright for Reigning Wolves, but now it seems like they are fully confident and they do have a few extra abilities in their toolkit. So Dees is actually gonna have to be playing a lot safer, but they haven't really been. Essence Reaver Online does give them a little bit of safety, a little bit more fighting power for those infinite oranges, the good old vitamin K, as it were, but at the same time, they really can't afford to underestimate Reigning Wolves' damage or their lane pressure because Zehen is the champion to bully out of lane.
Yeah. For the record though, for anybody who is curious, oranges is vitamin C, in case anyone was wondering. It isn't actually vitamin K. That's just the name of the Eternal. I want to fact check us real quick because I forgot to add that a little bit earlier. We'll see a 1.3 gold lead here from bot lane. Very useful for that early game. However, top laners are used to coming back from worse situations, so I would not be shocked to see this game be turned around pretty substantially, especially since top lane Reigning Wolves is quite far ahead here. We'll see Dog JD coming through here with that Wither coming through, Fury of the Sands, and there's not really much you're going to be able to do. But Wukong coming through with Cycle and able to stop that from going off. Charm goes come through and stops Nasus from being able to finish off Gangplank. However, current top lane does become the first of all, so they did get a little bit of value off of that one. that honestly, that money is really being useful. But Kaisa ends up falling in this bot lane. We'll see GP ultimate also getting some credit there. Thresh a little caught out, but they did end up going ahead and picking off Xayah in the process. So Thresh is just alone and not able to do too much. However, Xayah ends up killing the Ahri in that top lane fight. Spirit Rush was popped there. Looks like Xayah ended up popping his ultimate as well. The Grim Deliverance.
Yeah, it's got a really cool name.
It really is. I'm not too familiar with it.
Although, what? Okay, if you were a league champion, what would your ultimate be called?
Ooh,
See, this is.
Sheer Destruction.
Oh, okay.
My gamer tag is for league for like professional stuff is Sheer.
Yeah.
It's Heer. So I feel like Sheer Destruction is fitting.
All right. I'm with it. I think personally, I would go with something like really stupid, like Super Punch or something, and it's just not even a punch. Like it's something completely different, but the ability name is just super misleading. But anyway, we are gonna see.
You mean like
the
Fury
reveal.
of the Sands that doesn't even include sand?
Yeah, you know, like something like that, but like a dumber name, because I think that'd be really funny. We are gonna see Ratsu. I mean, is this gonna be the tempo interruption? Absolutely worth it.
Ooh.
Now Deet's game is ruined. Oh my goodness. The tempo is off it. He's low-key 1v1ing him though, which is a little nutty that the support Nautilus is able to match the GP, but GP is not at that 4-item power spike yet. The second he does get those 4 items, that is kind of the warning bell for top to say, okay, we let him skate a little too much, now we have to one-shot him, otherwise we're not going to have a Kaisa this game.
I do want to mention real quick, Nasus is at 150 stacks, which is behind schedule, so there is a little low on that. It's not ideal. Obviously, he's got 2 deaths already, so, you know, being 1.6k gold down is not what you want for an Nasus ever. Whether it doesn't matter what role he's in, but
Yeah,
jungle
right.
especially. Like level 9 when your enemy opponent is level 11 is just not ideal.
Yeah, it's pretty crippling, especially for kind of like not quite a snowbally, but for a scaling champion like Nasus, because he does need a lot of time to actually get online, and the farther he gets put behind, that is like you're adding a bunch of minutes onto, you know, the hydrogen bomb that is the late game Nasus.
Interesting hydrogen bomb. Thresh only at 25 stacks though, so we'll see not as much value coming out. I wonder what happened there. I feel like that's a little inaccurate. We're 17 minutes in the game. 25 just feels a little low.
Yeah, kinda. Ooh, a nice charm though. Onto the Nasus. All right, yeah, we are going to be seeing a little bit of a fight going on here. Nice root on the Nautilus, but look at the Cyclone angle coming in hot. It's the Nautilus and the Nasus, the double end champions. The Cyclone 2 coming in hot. There's a lot of knockouts as Ahri's zacking up the kills already, but Kagran is going to take it away. Zen coming in hot with the TP. Absolutely amazing hook prediction from the Thresh, and now it's all just kind of downhill here. I don't even know who's winning, but Nautilus coming in hot with another hook on the Xayah. Xayah has to flash away, but I don't think they can even kill Ratsu here. He's just way too tanky, and I mean somehow the Ahri dies instead. But most of the members remaining from the side of top lane. Oh my goodness.
Aurora made a really risky play. They're going in with the between worlds about half health. Ended up cutting off 3 different players, both Ahri, Xayah, and Gangplank. Sorry, not Gangplank. Wukong ended up all getting caught in that between worlds, sticking them in the middle of a fight. And during that, GP made a really nice ultimate. I do want to give them the benefit of the doubt there. They really kept him in that ultimate, but the between worlds afterwards kind of just cut the team off. That stopped their disengage. There was just no way of getting out at all during that fight. They had no flashes that they wanted to pop there because there was nothing that could have stopped them from falling after that fight. Very good ultimate from that Aurora, from Moss Man, who I don't think I've seen Moss play any mages in this tournament.
See, I haven't really heard a lot about Mossman in general. They're a bit of a mysterious kind of player. I don't think I've seen them in game. I'll have to see if I can ask them in a bit of an interview. But for now, Ratsu going to be caught out, trying to get some vision down. He's going to hook himself away, but I think the next big thing to keep in mind is that the fact that even though top lane was down a significant amount of gold in terms of the gold lead, after that fight, now they're actually in the gold lead by 1.5k. So I don't think their team comp is really getting any weaker as the game goes on. So if you are bot, you've really got to make sure this GP gets ahead. Otherwise, it might just be time to pack it up.
I still think the one to watch here is this ballistic Xayah, especially in this fight specifically. We'll see that DPS truly coming through, able to pull back those feathers, not even needed, actually, as Xayah just auto-attacks down both that Xayah and Nautilus from the hook that came through with that Thresh, as well as the charm that landed onto Xayah. There was no living through that one.
No,
what a
not
fantastic
really.
play.
Oh! Mossman gonna bring it right
first
back,
off.
though. Against the Xayah. I mean, hey, listen, she's got damage, but she does not have resistances, and I think Mossman shows us exactly what they're all about. They've got 3 pen items on them right now. They've got, well, actually, like 2. But anyway, it still feels like 3 because of how much magic penetration the tier 3 mid lane boots give you. And, like, I think it's 18 plus 10%. You can correct me on that one.
I don't know off the top of my head the percentage there.
GG.
However, with that being said, though, there's quite a bit of damage that this Aurora happens to have. Good hook coming through on this from this Nautilus onto Thresh. Thresh will get caught out here. Depth charge, a little overkill, but is necessary. We'll see Xayah picking up that kill, getting that gold, and making the impact that she wants to bring. The impact that unfortunately was a little lackluster in the middle of this game so far. Between that 15-minute and this point, Xayah has been showing off just what it means to be primarily a bot laner. T-Dye is such a good player, but it's just not originally a bot laner. Oh, GP ends up getting caught out here, but there's not.
I think he's dead. I think
I don't know. The flash
he's done.
coming through. He does die. Nautilus might die to turret here. Yeah,
worth.
and he will.
Worth.
I mean, Nautilus is not really worth that much, so yeah,
I mean,
that's pretty worth.
Right. And also,
Thresh,
like, you're
Thresh
starting
wants to say no to this Aurora, though.
It could try to bunny hop this, but unfortunately Ari's a little bit too far behind. But yeah, I think the important thing to note here is that Deet is now pushed a little bit farther behind. You know, they're not farming the wave right now. They were they gave a solid little bit of gold, a nice donation over towards Mossman, who is starting to snowball out of control. Like, we already saw what they have been able to do in these team fights, and certainly what they did to Ballistic not too long ago. Giving the Aurora even more gold should not be on the mind for bot right here, because again, she's only going to be getting stronger here, and that ultimate is only going to continue nuking this team.
So Ballistic is really the only person right now who has gold. Wukong has a fair bit, but it's still not like a large amount in comparison. Still getting kind of caught out by this Nasus, able to steal a lot of the jungle just because he's got the backup there as well. But Wukong is not far enough ahead to really make a substantial, like, game-changing differential in terms of just the presence that he brings, especially against this team comp in particular. Xayah, however, is like the one person who's really relevant on this bot lane squad right now. You know, it's their strongest pick. It was their first pick, and here we go in this first match. Mon leads Xayah out of this game. We'll see Kai'Sa actually flashed over the wall to be able to get out there after art. Kai'Sa ends up picking up the Wukong. We'll see what else they can get here. Rotu misses the hook, but is able to keep chasing. Exhaust comes through onto Rotu, and that is a dead Gangplank. We'll see him lose yet again. Thresh drops down as Zahen picks up the kill, bringing Thresh to his knees yet again.
He's bringing him 6 feet onto the ground. It's more than the knees. Like, top lane is bringing everyone on bot to their knees because they're just having an absolute domination. And in the mid game a little bit earlier, you know, we saw bot pull way ahead, but now they're just falling. They're dropping like flies. Aurora almost got a second one. If they were just like a half a second closer, they would have been able to catch Wolven Alchemist. But you know, thankfully they did avoid it to kind of stop the bleeding a little bit. But bot, now you've got a very tough situation. because now Raining Wolves is a big issue. RX, even though they used to be behind in terms of the stackage, now they are starting to be an issue because they have Protoplasm. They basically can't die in these fights anymore. Like, they have ulti, which gives them, like, what, 50 armor and magic resist? That stacks the Protoplasm so much that he's just going to heal back to full health. You're not going to kill him anymore. You've got to get
Not
anti-heal.
only
You've
that-
got to get Lord Doms. You got to do something.
The passive Nasus is just so. Oh, big hook coming out from that Thresh. Nautilus caught out by just everything. There's
Yeah.
no living there. He's just
Low-key,
too. He,
not
he
bad.
went for vision. He
Yeah,
went for
right.
vision. You know, it happens to the best of us. You're a top laner. You're not
Yeah.
used to it. Well, he's in the middle of buying Frozen Heart, which is a little expensive for a support item, but not a bad item necessarily. I guess
It's an interesting buy. You know, it's,
I'm not
it's a little
100%
weird,
for it.
right? Personally, I think that's if you can go for what's called redemption here, like you can find so much value because a lot of these fights, everyone is clumped up, and redemption, like giant
You mentioned
area
Zeke's
heal.
before. I feel like Zeke's is just such a
Ooh,
good
yeah,
item
yeah,
on
yeah.
Nautilus in general. Zion
Very
coming
true.
in through here with the flank has a little bit more movement speed. Is gonna catch out the Zaya, but
Ooh.
unfortunately the hook is there, or the lantern is there to keep her out of that fight. Could have been very, very dicey if Zahen was able to get there just a little sooner, but unfortunately just not soon enough.
No, not quite. But again, this is why I like Thresh in this comp so much, because Zaya is already a very safe ADC. Thresh adds like another 2 or 3 layers of like added security of like, hey, you're not going to kill my ADC. You can try to overcommit and maybe die trying, but you're not going to get her. And it's saved the Zaya so many times. Like, she has died a few times, but every single time Thresh has been present, she is only going to be dead if Thresh is dead as well.
And Kai'Sa's lead is just gone here. She has no lead, or actually Zaya's lead is just gone here. That giant lead that she had at the very beginning of this, non-laning phase, so at the very end of the laning phase, is just completely zil. It's null. There's nothing there anymore. The advantage that they had is just been demolished by this Aurora jumping in over and over again, picking them off early on. Wukong does get hooked here. We'll see Clone ends up coming through a little late on that one. Zahen looking for some kind of hook here. There's a TP coming through here, at least from this Aurora. We'll see what she's able to do into this fight, because she is a little late, and it will be making quite a big difference. Already getting a lot of damage off.
Man.
There goes the Between Worlds, doing quite a bit of damage. Everybody is low,
wait.
but Zaya is still alive and kicking. Unfortunately, she was followed by Zahen, and Zahen is still cleaning up all of these things. We're seeing the big stacks coming through from Zahen as he goes forward for another kill onto Wukong. What a play from this Zahen, truly showing the power of this champion.
For sure.
They didn't want to fight him. He had the revive up, so there was just no reason that this bot lane wanted to, or actually bot lane team wanted to fight Zahen at all, and it ended up allowing him to just walk in and just stab everybody with a spear.
Yeah, pretty much. The 5-man Grim Deliverance really was kind of the nail in the coffin. Mossman as well hit another fantastic ulti. A 5-man Between Worlds is nothing to scoff at. But the fact that bot lane did not just get completely wiped there, it does say something to their team's survivability. Because if we take a look at the Thresh's inventory, they've got a locket. That was absolutely soaking up easily 1,000 damage in that fight alone. Plus their shields from the
They
W.
didn't use it.
What's that?
They didn't use it. It's not on cooldown.
They did. Oh no, you're right. I guess. Never mind. Well, I take it back. It certainly could have done that, but unfortunately, it didn't seem like that was the case.
Oh, Between Worlds does miss that RA
Yeah, he's
just
fine.
barely. Depth
Oh, I
charge
lied,
does
he's
land. We'll see a lot of that burst coming through from Mossman. We'll see Wukong also coming in from this flank with Thresh incoming as well. Big charge comes through. Not able to see what ends up happening there, but it does not look like they were able to get all that much. No, but the Thresh does see Nautilus in that bush. How? I don't know.
Whoa.
Either way, Nautilus still has to flash through to get out. Misses the hook on the wall, and there he will go down inevitably.
He can't live through
There's
this.
no
Oh
way.
my God.
There's no way. Oh, the Zaya ultimate onto the wall. No.
because of the-
Oh, but the GP
Ratsu!
ultimate because he
Ratsu!
missed the
You was
hook.
supposed to get us.
What am I watching?
Yo, Ratsu. Okay, listen. Oh my, we're gonna move on from that. We're really gonna move on from that because we got another fight coming up here, and it's over before it starts. Never mind. This Aurora is doing so much damage. Zaya ulting into a Wukong. That is the first time I think I've ever said that sentence, because usually when a Zaya ults into a Wukong, she's dead. Or Kaisa ults into a Wukong, she's dead immediately. But no, this time it's very different, and Mossman still manages to keep their KDA going. 10-2 and 10. Oh my goodness.
What a fantastic play by Mossman here. It's so beautiful. This Aurora playing is so absolutely gorgeous. The way that they're playing this is just fantastic. They have this phenomenal lead that they're able to utilize by focusing exactly who they need to focus in these fights, and it is allowing their team to just snowball from one onto another, just front to back, honestly, because there's just nothing they're able to do to prevent it. With Zaya gone, there's just not too much damage that's actually there still, because GP has to get that set up, as does Wukong. So if you aren't there, if you don't have that damage that is there right off the bat, once Zaya is gone, you have nothing. And
For real.
we saw that in the previous fight as well, in that fight that was over by the inhibitor turrets, on that red side jungle, right on the edge. We saw that with the Zaya able to dish out a lot of damage, but again, that limitation that this team truly has is really showing. GP not able to get the barrels off that he's looking for fast enough. It's just the speed. Top lane is just moving faster, especially with those Cloud Drakes that they have picked up here. Having that soul
Yeah.
is really making a difference, especially for people like Aurora, for people like Nasus, Zahen. These are not champions, and on top of that, with a Kaisa, you don't want these champions to have Cloud Soul. But the speed that this team is playing with is truly knocking this bot lane down a peg.
It's knocking everyone down a peg, because again, like if Zahen wasn't enough of a raid boss before, now they have a bunch of extra move speed. Nasus gonna get charged up, is gonna take a little bit of a beating, but I think their main target is going to be Mossman. And look at this flag for the Wukong! That's a 3-man cyclone that they've hit, but there's just no follow-up. The thresh is way too low, and they're going to continue going forward, but they're taking so much damage. Somehow the Nasus falls, but there's a link between worlds. It's going to eliminate 3, and it's just a quick cleanup from Kaisa, and that's a big ace. I mean, the game is basically over. Like, it was done. It happened. It is what it is. Mossman absolutely carried this game, and top lane looking to win our first game of tonight.
T-Dye was looking a little rough at the beginning, or at the middle, I should say. The beginning, they were looking really taut, and then we saw them kind of drop off a little bit, but in that last fight, we saw their ability to dodge so much. This is an Irelia player. This is somebody who is able to dodge over and over again, and utilize their abilities to their fullest. Able to pick off 3 different people in that last fight. Sure, Aurora did a lot of bursts there, absolutely. But I do want to give credit to Kaisa on that last fight. For sure. The amount of damage that they were able to put out was exactly where it needed to be. And the power was exactly where you wanted. So we will see top ending up taking out bot here after a very interesting bot lane, I think, of all things. We definitely saw the power that these top laners have over other top laners. I should say specifically Zahen over Gameplank, the top lane matchup. Zahen really showing the reason why Raining Wolves is currently reigning in that top lane. The power coming through, and there just wasn't enough shutdown potential that this team had. There's not a lot of the real burst that they have is from this Zaya, and in order for them to be able to get enough off, they needed something a little more engage heavy than this Wukong. I feel like there just wasn't enough potential that this Wukong could give into this specific team comp, because they ran stuff like the Nasus, because they ran the Nautilus, and the Zahen on top of it just prevented Wukong from doing what he wanted to do, which really did set back everyone. Ari was behind at the very beginning of the game and got stuck. behind a truck while driving
Yeah.
to wherever they were going. And for those of you who have never gotten stuck behind a truck, it's just there's no going forward. You just
Right.
gotta
You're just waiting. I was actually doing that on my way home today. Stuck behind this great big honking thing, and it's going like 20 under the speed limit. I'm like, man, ah, it's what
like
it
you
is.
gotta stay
Like,
far enough back where you don't
right.
end up. You have to stay in their blind, like in their visible spot, so you aren't in their blind spot. So
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you are not there, it's just it's not what you want.
Mhm.
Definitely that mid lane did come a little short here, especially as we saw as the game progressed. But I do apologize here on that right side, that graph. I don't speak uh, Spanish, so I have no idea
I'll
what
speak
that means.
Spanish.
Uh, yeah,
Um,
it's on the graph. It's the title of the graph.
yeah, I'm seeing, I'm seeing.
I can
I'm gonna pretend that I speak Spanish, but like the stream is just like a little bit low quality. Like my monitor isn't the greatest, so I just can't read it right now. Yeah, yeah.
I know it's oro a lo largo de la partida, but
That sounds Latin. Like I'm
no,
pretty sure
it's
it's Spanish, but like it sounds Latin. But anyway, the
I
gold
believe
graph
it's
does
gold
reveal
graph.
quite a
Yeah,
bit. Oh yeah, absolutely.
I think
It
it's gold graph. Yeah.
certainly should be. That is the graph that everyone loves to take a look at, especially after a game. So it does kind of paint the picture where we did see some very early domination. Like that initial little hump there was from T-Dye's double kill down in the bot lane. Then it's kind of back to even. After the call was bought, there wasn't a crazy amount of fighting, not a whole lot of snowballing. Then we did see it dip into bot lane's favor, or sorry, bot's favor, a little bit around that mid game, a little bit in the mid game when they had a couple really nice fights around Dragon. Did secure them a couple dragons, but they weren't able to take that and turn it into a win. Then the Nasus kind of started getting out of hand. Then Mossman started going absolutely nuclear, and then Raining Wolves became a problem. And then after that, it was just everything was blue.
I do want to mention I do think this game was won by the vision that Ratsu was able to bring. I know there were a few times where he got caught out by it for it,
Mhm.
but the vision that was there was able to, well, the lack of vision at least for bot prevented them from seeing Mossman coming in for that flank time after time to pick off the Zaya and really just shut her down, her potential that could have been catastrophic for this entire team.
Mhm.
The the true fighter of this game, I do think that Mossman ended up pulling this one. Like
Mhm.
truly, but Zihen was right there with him the entire time. And Zaya was
Mhm.
able to come out on top at the end of that game. And Nasus, the fact that he was so far behind but still able to come off strong, that
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, you got Gareth and Rebecca on the mic one more time here. We got jungle versus top, and game number one was pretty crazy. We saw top have a bit of a struggle early game, but then they just completely steamrolled their opponent's bot in this role of rivals for the Cinder League in the last half of the game. And now coming into this game, we are going to see, pardon me, Aurora and Zahen taken away, which were the big
Wow.
boys from top that did carry quite a bit of the game.
I'm not shocked to see them, but I'm surprised that they would end up using bans on these champions, leaving things like Urgot that have been must bans for the entire season open. I think that if jungle doesn't pick it here, that's gonna leave a lot of room open for Raining Wolves to play another giant lane bully that will definitely hinder their ability to play this game.
For sure,
I,
for
I
sure.
hope. Oh, the Ash pick is gonna.
Okay.
That's just gonna tempt them into the Urgot. It really is.
I
Because
don't mind the Ash here.
Urgot's W prevents slows. It makes them less effective.
Oh, I
So
see, I
it
see.
might just encourage the Urgot pick here.
Okay.
I
For sure, for
I know
sure.
I'm kind of pushing on this Urgot here, but I hope that
Yeah.
they pull it out. I love to see the champion. I think he's a lot of fun to watch. If they end up pulling out like uh, Yorick as well here, could be really strong.
Ooh,
Simply
Yorick
because it
would be
does take
really
a
fun.
little bit of power. I also think that jungle players aren't always familiar with Yorick because they aren't the ones typically who are going to
Yeah.
stop a split push. But the
Yeah. Oh
Mundo,
my goodness.
like I
Wait,
said, there are champions you would
hold
rather
on.
ban, and I forgot about Mundo. Like I said, champions you would
Uh-oh.
rather ban. Leaving that Mundo open is huge for top
Uh-oh.
lane. That is the
Yep.
champion you want to have on your team
Yep.
against people who are not familiar with your lane. That is the lane bully. That
Mhm.
is holy cow. That
This
I
is
the
this is
Cassante pick against it.
I
They
mean
really looked it up. They really looked it up. They were like, okay,
I
well, how do we counter this Mundo?
I genuinely don't think that is going to stop them because I'm seeing that J-Dog is in the top lane voice chat, and if you don't know, they are an exclusive Mundo jungle one trick. Now they obviously have played a fair bit top lane. Oh, it's actually going to be in the jungle. Never
There is the
mind.
Urgot.
This is actually an insanely good matchup for top. I think they will run away with this game. Like I'm going to call it now. Usually I don't call games in champ select. I think this is going to be top lane's game to win. Like they have a ridiculous amount of power here. Oh my
That
god.
was
Oh my lord, strap in is all I'm gonna say. Like this Mundo jungle is going to be the crown jewel of top lane here.
Urgot v Cassante is one of the absolute worst matchups for Cassante. So the fact that they set
Mm.
this up for the Urgot yet again, another just beautiful pick. As if you are playing, if you are raining wolves right now, you are screaming at the top of your lungs. Like this is exactly what you want to see. The only thing Cassante can
Mhm.
actually do against it is to W without all out. Because whenever you go all out, it no longer is unstoppable. So
Oh, I
you
see, I
have to
see.
not go all out. The moment you go all out, you lose the matchup.
I see, I see.
Unless you're able to instantly get that kill, Urgot will beat you every single time.
Mhm.
He's going to E you, he will W, you will Q, you get
For
stuck in
sure.
there because there's Kasante has no escape if he's slowed significantly. And
Mhm.
Urgot just has that potential to shut it all down. Speaking of shut it all down, they're hovering the rel here. I feel like it's a little overkill, but I would love to see it.
It's really darn good here. It counters the Nautilus, counters Cassante, gets rid of any shields they might have, but
But the
Morgana. Okay, this is. I mean, listen, Mundo is genuinely going to be going where he pleases in this game because he's got the passive. He's going to be having the black shield. I mean, Urgot might even have the black shield at this rate. Ezreal, maybe. I feel like this frontline power from top is like it cannot be matched. Jungle needs to draft like a Vayne or something to even keep these guys in check, let alone actually stop them.
This is a beautiful game for top lane.
Ooh,
The Rise pick is
Rise.
a really strong pick.
Yeah.
If they end up placing it against the Urgot in top lane, if they throw Cassante into a lane that
Ooh,
you know he's gonna lose, it might pay off. But we'll
interesting.
see, because the Rise v Urgot is a very Rise heavy matchup because it
Yeah.
has that extra range, and there's absolutely nothing Urgot can do against it. Um,
Mhm.
just because he doesn't have the full engage, the movement speed that Rise gets is just able to outrun Urgot even with the slows. So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see. I hope
Oh
I
man.
hope to see this Rise go top lane and Kazante go mid. I think that's a strong choice, especially if they're planning on playing something like a Cinder here, because
Hmm.
Rise v Cinder is not what you want.
I mean,
So
it's not the craziest thing in the world, but I do really like the Rise pick here because I feel like if there is anyone that can at least kind of match the late game from top, it is going to be Rise. Syndra being locked in is a very, very big pick as well because, of course, she has that 15% health execute on that ultimate once she's fully stacked up, which I think in this game we are going to be going on for a bit of a longer game here, so we're probably going to be ending at like 10 p.m. EST because this one is going to take a long time unless J Dog is insanely confident today and just completely runs away with the game. This one is going to go late, and I at this point I don't even know whose late game I favor more here, jungler or top. I really don't know.
I'm sorry, I've seen Ezreal's top lane. I've played Ezreal top lane. As much as I hate to admit it, I do play Ezreal top lane every once in a while against Urgot. That's like one of my favorite counters to Urgot. Um,
Okay,
so
okay,
I think that Ezreal plays very similarly to a duelist in top lane.
for
He
sure,
has
yeah.
the outplay potential that a lot of those top lane matchups are looking for. The instant burst to be able to turn the tides to these fights. And I think that Edai, another dual heavy champion, a dual heavy player who, again, I can't stress it enough, mains Irelia. I feel like Ezreal just goes along with that mindset so well that this is going to be a champion that Tidai is going to stop with. Like after the Kaisa play that we saw that last game, I feel like the Ezreal is just exactly what you want to be playing as a top lane player because you're able to play safe, you're able to play alone. It enables your Morgana, who's your support here, to roam as much as they possibly want to. It gives them so much freedom, and Morgana is gonna be all over this J4 this entire game as a result, as well as
Mhm.
all over this Rise. So we'll see just how relevant this Ezreal can make the rest of his team just by simply existing and being able to stay alone whenever he wants. I don't think that there's a lot that they can do to shut this thing down, except for Nautilus and Ashe getting far ahead. I I don't see a world in which Ashe doesn't build Bork this game
Right,
first.
right.
If you don't build that, I'm glad we have a little bit of delay because I feel like like this is not a not a little piece of advice that I think top lane wants us to be spreading out right now. The Bork item being a first is just very very strong for Ashe in this kind of a matchup. But if she's far enough behind, I don't think that there's coming back for this one.
Mhm. I mean, Bork first, maybe, maybe not. I feel like she will kind of need a lane item first, but definitely Bork has to come online this game, either second or third, because, like, again, you have Mundo, you have Urgot, both of those are extremely tanky in their own right. Syndra, maybe gonna be picking up some health. I wouldn't imagine so, but with the amount of dive and damage that Jarvan 4 and Ryze have, maybe it's doable. I mean, Nautilus and kind of Cassante as well. Generally, they're not going to be getting too close to Syndra, but if they do happen to get onto her, it might be worth investing in some extra health for the Syndra, which again would add a lot of value to the towards that Bork. But the Ezreal is a really interesting piece of the puzzle, so to say, because would you honestly put a top lane, put the Urgot mid against the Ryze, and then have Morgana Syndra bot? Because
Ooh.
I feel like that's unironically not a horrid idea because you could still kind of screw over the Cassante, and then you also kind of screw over the Ashe because Ashe is probably looking to just sit back and farm, but you don't want to sit back and farm against the mage bot. Like you have to dominate the mage's bot early because they will outscale you. They have more range. They have I mean honestly their items are low key better in a lot of cases, and Syndra is one of those mages that if you give them too much space and too much time, they will just delete you immediately in the late game in like 2-3 buttons.
I would rather see the Ezreal mid than top lane here. Honestly, I think that that's kind of just a better call putting that Urgot still in top
Mm.
lane rather than mid just feels more secure. It allows
Yeah, yeah.
Urgot to get a little farther ahead. It gives him that little XP bonus from top lane quest, which means that he
Mhm,
gets those
mhm.
levels a little bit faster. He gets those extra levels. It gives him extra damage on the execute, extra percentage on the execute for his not percentage, like the flat damage that his R gives. That a lot of these people on the jungle roster are not going to be able to dodge. Like you're not going to use your cooldowns to really dodge an Urgot R. You're going to be using them for engage or disengage. You know, I'd be surprised if we saw anything but a lethality J4 here as well, which could be very
Really?
interesting to see. Just
Wow.
because there's a lot of tankiness on this jungle roster. There's Cassandra, there's
Yeah.
Nautilus. They need something with high burst potential. Rises damage over time, Ashes damage over time. They don't have the burst. They need to see. We need this lethality Jarvan here, which I'm really excited to see. I want
Interesting.
to see
Okay.
it so badly, and I feel like if they don't end up pulling it out, it is going to make it's gonna be a really big hindrance to this jungle team. But
For
we'll
sure, for
see.
sure.
This is obviously the jungle team, so the jungle J4 is something that is going to have to shine in this game, and it has to excel. It has to beat this Mundo, or again, there's just so much pride that's lost when you lose your lane against another lane that just doesn't play. That like I mean, we saw it last game with T-Dye winning in that bot lane early game. Like the impact that it had on both players, both the Thresh and the Xayah in that last game. Just the amount of pressure that they were under, they had to play so far back in order to not lose even more,
Mhm.
just because they felt like they deserved to really show their abilities on characters. But I do feel like I am going a little far fetched on this one. I'm going a little far. I'm getting ahead of myself, and definitely think that we are going to see quite a game here in a little bit. But when that does come up, we will definitely get back to you guys. But in the meantime, don't go too far because this is going to be a very interesting game at the very least. It will definitely be interesting and entertaining, I think. Whether it'll be a one side favored fight or if this is going to be an even 1-1 the entire game, we will just have to wait and see.
For sure, for sure. But before we do go, actually, like I do want to talk about this Jarvan actually, because in my mind, actually, you're saying that the J4 or sorry, Assassin J4 is kind of encouraged here. I actually really like the Brewster J4. I'm not gonna lie because there's a lot of poke from the side of Ezreal, Syndra, and even the Urgot to some extent, right? It's a lot of DPS. It's a good amount of burst. I feel like the main damage dealers of this team are gonna have to be the Ashe and Ryze simply because they have the range. Melee champions. I mean, Jarvan low-key kind of ranged because he can get into melee range extremely quickly, and with the knockup as well, kind of helps that engage a lot. But in general, I think that he's gonna have to survive long enough, like buffer a Syndra E, in order to get her in the Cataclysm, because that's the one spell that Morgana can't get rid of. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
she could black shield anything, but she can't black shield the fact that Jarvan can just make terrain around someone. And I think in
Good
order
point.
to actually get towards the Syndra, or even towards the other Ezreal for that matter, or I mean maybe even towards the Urgot in the later parts of the game, they are going to need to survive quite a bit. But regardless, we'll see exactly where this goes and who is building what right here, right now, as we head into game 2, jungle versus top. Oh my goodness, the role rivals of the Cinder League, baby. Let's get into this one. Let's get loud. Let's get rowdy. And hopefully we get to see some more action at level 1 like we did with game number 1.
Oh, I completely forgot. But as I was thinking about this, J4 Wall is able to synergize with Cassante all out very well. But we'll see the early invade coming through here. The Mundo showing
Ooh.
his prowess very early on, throwing those briefcases, showing them stocks, getting them gains, able to get
Mhm.
a flash out of Rise very early on, and Syndra sees that opportunity and is able to get a lot of poke early, very, very early onto this Rise. Not ideal. It's the fact that they went in for this invade was already a very risky play, but the fact that top ended up coming out on top because of it, I feel like is definitely going to set the pace of this game. There's just not going to be a lot of jungle presence in that top lane as a result, especially early on. We might see a later, like, maybe J4 comes out on top, but and by on top I mean like on top lane.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like after that last game, jungle knows that one of the weaknesses this top squad has is in the jungle. It's for those jungle objectives. And I feel like that is going to be needed in this bot lane. Whoa, there is a flash, there's exhaust, there's a lot going on in this bot lane, and iGate takes out Morgana for that first kill. The flurry of arrows does come through. T-Dye showing off that ability to duel yet again, taking out Ashe, able to get a lot of damage off of Tegon, but dies to the minions, not able to fully take out that Nautilus.
Yeah, T-Dye and Ratsu, the patented duo. Unfortunately, the power of the Nautilus gets used against them there. You know, we saw a lot of their aggression game one, but T-Dye as well, able to come out on top a little bit, you know, grabs a kill for themselves without going down. Like you said, they're a big duelist player. It makes sense that they were able to get that. And, I mean, obviously they didn't live for it, but I do want to talk about this Mundo because J-Dog is insanely experienced on the Mundo. They are going to run away with this game if they aren't shut down constantly, and I don't think that J4, or even Cassante for that matter, is the best way to shut them down very early on.
I'm still baffled they left this Mundo open.
Right.
I feel like that was just the most obvious pick in this roster. Like, you know J-Dog is such a relevant Mundo player. The fact that you left it open, just...
Yep, just leave it on the table. I mean, surely they don't take it, right, guys? But then J-Dog's like, oh my goodness, Mundo's open. Yes, please.
And not only did they take the Mundo, they took the Urgot as well, and we can just see them as their relevance is in this top lane. A little early, though, from that engage, Cassante was able to W the Urgot W, or Urgot E, the little shifting, the shift over to prevent the CC from landing. Lots of burst, or lots of poke coming out onto this Syndra, though. It looks like the Rise is able to truly control this wave, which I am very surprised about. I've seen Jake play. I know Jake is like one of the strongest junglers in this entire league. I did not expect them to be able to control waves as well as they are. I don't know about you.
I mean, you are correct, right? Jake is much more of a jungle champion, but at the same time, I feel like Jake is really at his best when he's on a carry champion, and Rise is definitely a carry champion in terms of mid lane. So, you know, and with Rise as well, it's very easy to kind of push the wave and kind of force it into a good wave state because of your E spreading to all the minions and then your Q proccing on all those marked minions. So maybe there is a little bit of that in there. And with Cinder having some really high mana costs early, maybe Jake is playing some mind games and forcing them to use a bunch of spells.
Yeah, Rise is one of those champions that it's a tough champion to play, but if you know how to play him, if you know the combos right, you can really tell the difference between a good Rise and a mediocre
And a great
Rise.
one. Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. I shouldn't say good Rise and mediocre Rise. I should say a good Rise and a bad Rise and a very good Rise.
There we go.
Honestly, the difference in the skill is it really makes
It makes a big difference. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's we'll see just the levels that Rise is able to get. I personally prefer Rise. Oh, ends up missing the root, but is able to get quite a bit of damage off and able to bait out a lot of potentially harmful damage T-Dye, but not able to kill iGank just yet. Unfortunately, does not have that level 6. But speaking of level 6, Cassante ends up beating Urgot to this level 6 fight. Raining Wolves has to back up and play a little safe here just to be able to wait it out, to be able to get that ultimate he was waiting for. Not not a fight you want to take. You don't want to fight all out without your ultimate.
For sure.
It's just, there's a lot of poke that's just being taken up in this game, and it wasn't what I expected to be seeing here. I expected a little bit more from at least the Ezreal versus Ashe matchup, because I feel like he could have been playing a little farther back and a little safer to be able to get the benefit out of this. However, it does look like there is a fight in this dragon pit here. If we can go over to it. Big Root comes through onto this Nautilus, getting the poke that T-Die is looking for. There's a stun that ends up coming through from that Cinder onto iGank. Quite a bit of burst comes through. They end up getting the Drake out of this one. Morgana falls, and Mundo is caught out alone as a result. Did end up getting the dragon, but Realm Warp does come through.
Look at that.
Killing that Mundo with 4 different members getting credit. But Nautilus picked up the kill on Mundo there. So there isn't a lot of gold that's actually going on their way. In fact, Mundo Nautilus has actually gotten 3 kills this game, 2 of which is on the Morgana here. So
wow,
Nautilus scary?
I guess so. You know, we were talking about Assassin Jarvan. I think that maybe Nautilus needs to build some Assassin. Because, I mean, they've got
Nautilus?
75... We could see it here. I think that jungle has quite a bit of AP, but I'd be down to see it. I'd be interested.
I mean, the only AP they've got is Ryze, but Ryze is a very heavy champion.
He's got quite a bit.
Output.
Yeah.
Speaking of Ryze, though, he is putting up quite a bit of fight against the Syndra. I appreciate Jake biding his time here, getting the CS that he needs, and being able to freeze the wave, which is not something that's easy to do as Ryze, simply because that flex does bounce so much, and it does allow you to just clear waves so fast. I mean, Ryze has so much roam potential, and we're gonna about to see it right now. With Morgana getting knocked up and rooted, Morgana will have to flash over this wall and spell shield herself to be able to get out, leaving Ezreal alone. Not able to get too much out of it, but Morgana does have to flash. That's a lot of value right there. Not
for sure.
Like, Morgana's only level 5 here, so she doesn't have ultimate. She might have exhaust, but at the end of the day, that's a level 5 Morgana who's forced to back again, setting them behind even more. I can't tell if iGank is level 6 or a level 5 because of the quality. It looks like they're level 5, so they don't have that Ashe grow just yet. Ezreal ends up popping his
True Shot Barrage.
Thank you.
Yep.
Just to get that extra little oomph. Urgot ends up dodging the Cassante CC, trying to get him underneath the turret, trying to get a little bit of benefit, looking for anything so that he can end up getting ahead of Urgot. We saw how much power Raining Wolves brings whenever he is ahead, and Cassante is doing whatever he possibly can to prevent this from occurring, and is doing a really good job of it as well. I want to give credit where credit is due. There's a CS, like, they're very even on CS right now. It's very, very surprising to me. I was not expecting for this fight in top lane to be as even as it actually is, but I do think that mana is a very big factor here. Urgot is utilizing quite a bit here. Oh, Cataclysm does come through, but Cinder does have flash, able to get out of it. Sun goes through onto Orphan, and Jarvan still is able to get out, but not without utilizing Cataclysm in the process. Urgot is going to get pushed underneath the turret here with that all out. It doesn't have enough mana, it looks like, to actually cast his ultimate. So not able to actually turn the tides on that one, just because of the amount of mana Urgot takes to be able to use the
I think it's fate worse than death.
Something like that, yeah.
Don't quote me on that.
It's almost like you've got a list of abilities up, right?
No, that's off the dome.
I think it might be Fate Beyond Death, I think.
Actually, you know what? I have Google. Give me 1 second. Forgot ulti. All right, let's see. It is Fear Beyond Death. Oh,
Fear Beyond Death.
Right. Yeah. That's correct.
Fate Worse Than Death sounds a little bit too much like a Targonian ultimate.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I was gonna say that sounds pretty Noxus, but so I feel like Targonian is more like celestial stuff and whatever Tarek's abilities are called. I should know that one because I'm a Tarek main, but nothing's coming to me. He's got Dazzle.
He's got the gems. He's got more
Yeah.
gems. Cosmic Radiance is his ultimate. I know that much.
That's
I know
right,
Bravado
yeah.
was his passive.
Yes, yeah. Seems like it's not like crazy, doom and gloom stuff. I feel like Noxus is like the real, like the edgy kind of gory abilities. You've got Guillotine on Darius, you've got Glorious Executioner on Draven, all that jazz. But
Speaking of glorious execution,
Yep.
J4 coming in with
Oh.
the Cataclysm on this Morgana, and not gonna be able to do enough. We'll see that Locket ends up keeping J4 alive just barely. That props to Tycon on that Locket pop. That was beautiful. Something that we saw bot lane not execute as well, unfortunately, last game.
Sure.
A little Locket utilization was suboptimal, but Tycon really showing just how much value you can get from that item by itself. However, speaking of utilization of items, Yepflow has a Bramble Vest here. So the ample
oh yeah,
the anti-heal that this brings, as well as that Warden's Mail, able to prevent a lot of damage from Urgot. And the Black Cleaver is a little late in comparison to the two items, so he's not able to get too much value just yet. We still have seen no boots from Kazate, and we most likely will. Is it just me, or is this Ezreal just kind of sitting over the wall and able to get so much free out of it? But Ashe ends up taking out this Drake. I'm baffled that they were able to pick out this Drake from this. I don't know what happened there in terms of smite. It seemed a little early. If
Hundo
I'm correct
gambled
there.
and lost, basically. Dragging it out, did in fact drag it out. Not very far, but they did drag it out. And then, of course, they timed the passive plus smite, and that was that.
Yeah, well, Ashe is the one who actually picked up the Drake.
Oh, did they really?
Yes, that's why I was confused.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe not then. Oh, Cassante
Urgot's going to be able to dash
again?
through this one, but not before the W hits
Wow.
from Cassante. He will become unstoppable and go all out, taking out Urgot for that big kill in top lane. I mentioned it earlier, when you're playing against people who are not playing your role, and you're playing as your role, that's a matchup that you need to win.
Although I thought
gonna hit
Randy
you.
Williams was the top laner.
Yeah, he is, but he just lost.
Oh. Okay.
So
Alright, never mind.
Cassante Yepflow ends up winning that one out. And as a result, it's going to be a really big hit to the ego, especially after a very definitive Zahen performance immediately before that.
Yeah, very, very true. They are probably used to dominating the lanes a little bit on a bit of a more of a lane bully champion. Urgot is definitely a lane bully champion, but of course, it's not as oppressive because they don't have a crazy amount of healing. Whereas Zahen, like half of his character is to heal, and he's also got an extra revive. Urgot's only got one life. A bit of an older design champion, dare I say. But looking at the game state right now, Jungle very comfortably ahead, 7-2. A nice stun is gonna. That's a nice melee arrow. Is gonna lock up
Ooh.
Ratsu. He's dead before he hits the ground. That's a little unfortunate, but it does kind of give Jungle a little bit of wiggle room to try to play this map here. Because now, I mean, basically the biggest catcher on top is now dead for the next, like, what, 20 seconds, 30 seconds? So,
I mean, there's really not much you can do in this lane. Urgot just didn't get far enough ahead in this early game. Ryze ending up tooling out this Ezreal, not able to utilize his cooldowns properly, unfortunately, because he missed that Q after the E. But Urgot does appear to be getting jumped here a little definitively. J4 comes through looking for the little support extra that he's looking for, and Mundo unfortunately just doesn't heal. So he's
Nope.
gonna get poked out from this one. A little unfortunate, especially with that ignite that Tycon did save, especially for that Mundo. He really like put his name on that ignite and said, "Ha, you thought you could ult out, you thought you could live as Mundo, but no, no, not in my house. This is
Yeah,
my
not-
jungle."
not now, not now. Although, you know, Mundo, not the best early game champion, does have the Heart Steal, which is it's a pretty solid spike for Mundo. Definitely isn't the Warmog's Rush that we tend to see on a lot of lane Mundos, but I do like the Frozen Heart, or not Frozen Hearts, oh wait, Heartsteel, my goodness. I do like the Heartsteel picked up first because they are going to be fighting a little bit more, especially with these dragons coming up pretty soon, and the grub's obviously taken, but Rift Herald, actually not going to spawn either, never mind. But there's definitely a lot more chances to fight around with the Mundo Heartsteel. So I don't mind it here.
I do think that there is a lot of value that's about to come out from this Syndra. I think Syndra is... She's been a little far behind this entire game because she is a heavily scaling champion, but I'm worried that it's not going to be able to be strong enough for this rise. Rumble ends up coming in to gank onto this Syndra and Mundo, but they are not going to be able to live through this. It looks like Yupflow is a little in a dicey situation. Not the kind of situation you're looking for. And Raining Wolves ends up missing the fear beyond death. Nisante,
Wow.
able to just negate all fear from below.
Yeah, he's got no fear. He's like, I will not yield. You are dying here, and I'm dodging this ulti. Ratsu, unfortunately, not able to dodge the Ashe ulti, but are they going to die from it? Not quite, as the Black Shield just barely saves them, and that is rubbing salt into the wounds for top, or sorry, for jungle, as they just barely don't manage to find that kill. They're going to keep on diving, actually, but Mossman gets so lucky with the grub that saves his life. If Tycon hits the hook, they are 1000% dead. That is just Riot Games not wanting to let that one happen, but Mossman getting caught by the Cataclysm. Surely they die here, but no, the difference, and he hooks a minion! He hooks a minion! Oh no! This is the second time where the Nautilus hook is absolutely free against the champion, and it just hooks a minion in the worst possible moments. Oh my goodness, Tycon. Oh, chat, don't clip that one either. His team is definitely going to use that as I don't even know, like some kind of bargaining material if he wants to play something crazy.
Yeah,
Oh my
Nautilus
goodness.
is not looking too hot here at the very least. We started out with this game with 3 full kills. Unfortunately, not getting the value that they want necessarily, especially since T-Dye is actually ahead here in gold from gank. You can just see the amount of lack of value that they're gaining. Urgot having to use that disdain early does unfortunately allow Yupflow to just kind of duke it out on him. Flash does come through, Ash is there just to secure it, and that is going to be enough to take him out. J4 running up on this Mundo, probably not going to full engage, but Nautilus does see Morgana in that topside jungle, and has Ash to be able to back him up. So we'll see if there ends up being a little bit of a skirmish here. I sincerely doubt Morgana wants to fight this, however, she's been caught out time and time again. Root does come through, very nicely done, able to prevent Nautilus from going in too far.
For sure, we are going to get a bit of a slower game now. You know, after all that action, I don't think anybody really wants to fight at this point. But the K'Sante versus Urgot matchup is, you know, going a little bit against what you were saying. The K'Sante is running away with this game, and Urgot down a couple turrets. Mossman likely going to be caught out here. Gets hit by the depth charge. See, they should have played safe, but they really didn't. And this is the biggest mistake that a Cinder can make. Now they are dead for the count. They do force a TP, so honestly, not too bad for top.
Yeah, but Syndra still doesn't have 100 stacks yet, so it's still only level 3 on her passive. She's still behind, and it's definitely making an impact. She doesn't have the execute yet on that aura, otherwise Nautilus would be dead.
Yeah,
And
very true.
that's just the situation that we're in. Speaking of being dead, Mundo is getting quite a bit of CC off onto him. He doesn't really get to go where he pleases this game. He might be fine, but unfortunately, it does force a TB from Raining Wolves.
That's a big investment there from the side of the top lane, because Urgot is, I mean, even though they aren't able to do a crazy amount against K'Sante, they are still a very valuable champion, you know, mainly because they just have guaranteed value. You know, their auto attacks are always going to hurt. Their tankiness is always going to be there. Fear Beyond Death will always execute at the same health, no matter how many kills he's got, no matter how many deaths he's got. So definitely keeping Raining Wolves and keeping their mobility to move around the map, or any lane rather, at any point in time is absolutely critical. But that off the map for the next 2-3 minutes, I wonder how top is going to play this one.
Yeah, it looks like Sante is trying to get some kind of value here. There is a little bit of a bait coming through for T-Dye, and unfortunately T-Dye is falling for it. It forces him to back up, leaving Urgot alone next to this Baron. They're gonna get Baron here.
For sure.
This is a jungle team. They're gonna get Baron here.
For sure they are.
Mundo will try to steal it here. We'll see if he's actually able to do it. Both teams do have Smite up. There is Ezreal there behind that Drake. They're taking a lot of time to actually fight this Baron. A lot of damage is coming out onto Dragging It Out just because of that Baron damage. Remember, resistances are being shredded here, so Cassante is losing value. He is going to be quite low on resistances. Ezreal is able to get out just barely with that Ian flash, able to take out J4 just barely. Cassante looking for the kill, not able to find it as Rise finds Morgana and Mundo sits on everyone, stopping it. But I apologize, Cassante was actually able to catch that Ezreal.
Wow.
And despite Ashe falling, that was very well executed by this jungle roster.
For sure.
We're seeing two people on this jungle roster right now. Cassante and Rise both have 0 deaths so far in this entire game. Tycon has 1. But in the meantime, this is 2 very powerful champions you don't want to be getting ahead. It doesn't matter how hard you're countering them, it just isn't there. You're not going to be able to stop a Cassante who is this far ahead. He just bought Randuin's Omen. That's such... I mean, honestly, I don't think Randuin's Omen was the call, personally.
Really?
I think that there could... Because it's anti-crit.
I mean,
I feel like there could have been better items that could have been there.
I
That's
guess.
just me.
But
I feel like
don't
you
know.
should have finished the Thornmail or something. Maybe Jack shows.
Oh, see, yeah, Jack Show I can get behind, because a lot of these fights are going really, really long. But the only reason why I could see the Randuins is for that AoE slow, because you know, Black Shield is definitely one of the hardest abilities to counter with these CC heavy comps like Jungle has. But the slow makes it a little bit easier to kind of catch these targets. But regardless, top is going to be throwing out a
Ezreal caught
lot
out
of
with a
poke
root
here.
from Rise.
And it's going to make it a little bit easier onto this backline, but Cinder kind of free hitting over the blue buff is not how they want to play this one. They're going to be forced to back up. Urgot dies before the fight starts once again. That's a nice work on ulti onto 2. The ultimate does not manage to kill Ashe, so she is still fighting, and now they're turning their attention onto Mossman, who goes down by Jake. And look at this, it's just bad to worse for top lane. They have the bundle trying to smack away the backline, but the briefcase misses, and they can't quite do it. Yupflow being chased down by Ezreal. Over on the fight, Mundo does what he does best. Ashe did not play safe. Kazante's taking the trip over towards mid lane, pulling the Ezreal onto the tower, somehow doesn't die for it, and T9 just barely survives at like, what, 5 health? 33 health on the board, and it still manages to get away. And again, jungle are just coming out on top.
I do think that early death from Urgot made such a big difference. The fact that they were able to take out such a strong ultimate power just prevented so much from this team. Urgot actually tries to show up a little later here, trying to get that Fearbow on death onto Nautilus. We'll see if he's able to get it. It'll be very close, but it does look like Nautilus is able to get a little bit of extra health just because of the power that Knight's Vow actually provided in that last fight. So Nautilus will live here just a little bit. Mountain Drake is obviously not ideal, not what you want to see on a Cassante. So hopefully they'll be able to show a little bit of fight for this thing, but unfortunately they are down quite a bit after that last fight. Cinder is still not at 120, so she doesn't have full power yet. And Ezreal, he's only got 2 items. At least Ashe has the anti-heal, and I think that is making a huge difference on this. Black Shield ends up being used on Morgana, so the Ashe arrow lands onto Morgana, preventing that from actually landing. The Drake is taken by J4, and all that Cataclysm ends up cutting off Ezreal's retreat.
Oh my
Syndra
goodness.
just trying to survive here, trying to get something out of this. It does look like the TP is coming through, but it's canceled by the hook from Nautilus. Not gonna be able to get out of that one, Syndra. That's
Icon
just,
the GOAT.
Ugh. You're 5k gold down here. I don't know if this is redeemable.
It's hard to say. I feel like if anyone can redeem it, the Mundo is definitely gonna have to go kind of nutty with the Morgana, because I think the only reason why Jungle wins that fight is because that Morgana ulti was shut down so early, and it gets shut down again here. Ratsu just feeling a little bit too confident, pops the Zonies as well. That's a big cooldown taken away, but you know, back to what I was saying, the Morgana ulti has proved to be so like it's been such a big problem for jungle to actually play around against. You know, in these other fights, if it gets shut down early, jungle can keep playing as close together as they want, and they cannot be punished for it anymore. You know, the only thing that could really punish them in that area is Syndra E, but that's like what, once every 16 seconds? It's not even that long, and half of jungle's team can buffer it.
It looks like Ezreal was thinking that they were taking Baron here, which is not a bad thought. Unfortunately, they are not. I do want to bring up Morgana here. Is at 7k gold, which surprisingly is only a little bit less than Urgot here. And I do think that's going to be relevant here. As Urgot is quite far behind. It's a 4k gold difference as Cassante has. That the fact that that Urgot was open, it was offered, it was a bait as well. What phenomenal plays that J4 ended up playing on that top side for. We're going to see a little bit of a Baron fight here. Urgot is not yet there. They're looking for this fight early on. Cassante trying to get that flank off onto Ezreal, Morgana, Cinder, whoever they can get off. Big root comes through, big flux from Ryze, able to get off AoE damage onto Cinder, dropping her. Cassante trying to kiss Ezreal yet again, and this time he is going to make it off very definitively. Morgana ultimate comes out late, not able to get the stun off as well. Fear Beyond Death ends up also just not being utilized here. Oh, sorry, it missed. It landed on, like, I think it was Nautilus. It just wasn't able to be utilized because of it. And honestly, the fact that Urgot isn't there is... I don't think Urgot's terribly useful, I'll be so real. Like, obviously, there is something to be said for his tankiness, you know, like, he can just kind of be a bit of a stun bot, flip someone over, and that's kind of his job. But he's only got a Black Cleaver and Tabbies. Like, they aren't incredibly strong. Jake still blows them up in a matter of, like, 2-3 spell rotations, which sounds like a lot, but for Ryze, he can reset his cooldowns extremely quickly. So it's really not that much. And again, it's really hard to play these fights because these arrows are finding so much value. It's either finding Ratsu, which is the only person that can really stop all this engage from jungle, or it's finding Mossman, who is the only other person that can stop this crazy engage from jungle, and also has the you know, enough damage to actually kill off the Ashe, or I mean, probably not the Ryze anymore, but easily one of the biggest damage sources on top is they can't find anything. This Ezreal's caught no E, no nothing! Gank needs a raise! Give this guy $15 worth of RP. He's crazy on this Ashe. Oh my goodness. That's what I'm saying. Cassante is currently level 19 against the Urgot, who is currently level 15. I feel like that says enough about this game.
Yeah, pretty much. And he's still
just not a lot of value, but Cinder ends up picking up the Ashe. That's what Mothman was looking for. Execute comes through onto Cassante, and big opening for this top lane roster. This is your opening. This is your fight to win. Tycon will end up falling here, but how much time it takes is a different question. He does fall here a little later than he would like, but it does look like Ryze and J4 are a little... I don't know what they're doing here, but unfortunately... they can't just get away with it because there's just nothing that top lane can do about it.
No, not really.
They're just too far behind.
Although this does kind of give jungle some time to go spend their gold, which they did have quite a bit of after winning that fight there and getting a couple nice picks to boot. So this next fight around the dragon is going to be a little bit tough. Now, top does have the advantage,
Ashe
right?
doesn't have Bork.
This is true. At this point, I don't think it matters. They've got executioners, and their team does more than enough damage to shred these tanks. I would have liked to see the Bork, but maybe they just don't see the need for it here.
They don't, because the Mundo or they haven't built enough health because they don't have enough gold. So it's just not. It's not really important. I do think that last fight does bring quite a bit of gold over to the side of top lane. However, the top lane matchup here really showing just the deficit in gold, as the 2.3k gold. Jack Shows was purchased there, as was Thornmail finished. So, is Cassante, you're looking pretty fine right now. Like this, you're feeling really confident about yourself, really good. Mundo does appear to be getting caught out here though by this Cassante. Syndra backing as well, might not, but the payback does cancel in time to be able to just stop Cassante from going too far out. Cassante is still able to get the damage reduction that he's looking for from W. Syndra not having the damage with the true damage just yet, unfortunately, but there's a lot of CC going off here with this Ash arrow ended up landing onto Mundo. Not necessarily getting him to go where he pleases. Root comes through onto J4. Ash, Israel does miss. Urgot landed on J4, but not able to get the execute off. So that was Ezreal and Urgot both ulting for an Ash and a depth charge. So that's worth it, personally. That's an execute ultimate for an ADC ultimate and a support ult. You still have so much CC on this jungle roster, but unfortunately they're not able to get it off here. They're not able to get through with Morgana rooting Jake there in that last little bit. Able to get him down to half health. Cassante caught out by the Syndra stun. Able to dash out, just barely slowed again by the briefcase.
Jake with
Realm
the gold
Warp
ulti!
able to take out both Nautilus and J4 as well as Cassante. What a Realm Warp. Jake will play.
Absolutely.
Just will play.
For real, it was literally like a chess move. He's like, okay, they're gonna move here, then we're all gonna move over here, and they have to back because they have a giant wave of minions that's sieging their in not the inhibitor towers, beyond those, the Nexus towers even. So jungle is really just kind of putting them on a timer, saying you can't overchase us, we can overchase you, because we were literally standing in front of your tier 3 for a solid 40 seconds, and you kind of can't do anything. They're kind of being like, nah, nah, boo boo, you can't hit me. And with how strong the Cassante is, they really can't punish it. They certainly tried. He's 8-1 right now. He's absolutely massive. He's like Godzilla going up against a bunch of like military helicopters. They could peek him. They could kind of chip away at him, but he's just not gonna die. He's way too strong.
But if you want to talk about powerhouses, look at this Rise, who is still 7-0 and 11. Because Syndra is able to hang on by a thread, but still, unfortunately, Morgana is caught out and falls. That's not what you want. Come on, top lane. Your head's in the game. They're likely going to be able to zone off this Cassante, but I don't know if they have the damage to prevent him from killing them both.
Gone.
With All Out coming through, isolating that Urgot. If you're beyond death, misses again with the dash through Cassante has to dodge it. Meanwhile, back in your base, your team is falling. Syndra almost dead there. Ends up getting out just barely. Still has that ultimate here. So we'll see if Syndra is able to find maybe iGank or even Jake here. Possibly. We'll see. I mean, we've seen Mothman find a lot of really good picks in both of these games. Not so much in this one, but we know that Mothman is able to do this, is able to execute whenever they want to. They just have to find the opening that they're looking for, and it doesn't end up coming because they keep getting caught out. Rotu, speaking of getting caught out, able to get hooked yet again. Tycon is just able to sit through it, but Mundo ends up picking up. Unfortunately, doesn't end up smiting that Baron. Does not end up getting the steal there, which is quite sad. But they'll have to deal with it. Getting through there. Tycon did fall there in that last little fight, but there really isn't much that's going on here. Interesting buy from Jake here. Ends up buying the Frozen Hurt, which we see on Rise sometimes. But just because there's so much armor or physical damage from this roster that they've got here, the Urgot on top of the Ezreal really being the two people.
And the Mundo. Oh, he can't steal this. He can't steal this. Please tell me they didn't steal
But
it. No, they
he
didn't. Okay.
did. He
No, they did.
did.
I don't think they did because.
Oh, sorry, you meant J4. I apologize.
Yeah, no.
I didn't even realize who that was. I was like, why is blue team doing a Fear Beyond Death for Urgot? Like, how are they utilizing Urgot ultimate? That there's no Silas in this game. You know, that makes a lot more sense. Top lane ending up coming out on top with these Drakes. I feel like this game should not be going on this long, and the longer that it goes, the more top lane is able to come back. I thought this game was over 10 minutes ago. But here we go.
Yeah, it's very true.
We are
Top
still in it.
Top lane is definitely being very resilient. I think it is all because of this Mundo, because of how much late game power this champion has. A lot of people don't really associate Mundo with, you know, a late game powerhouse, but he truly is genuinely one of the best stat sticks in the game for just like going up to your ADC through any kind of CC that you have and just one-tapping them. And there's nothing you can do. Like, the only thing you can do is end the game quickly, but you haven't been able to do that.
Canic Record is going to be bought here by Cassante. I feel like that's the nail in the coffin here. Just because it is able to prevent the Syndra execute. Just because he needs to get low enough in order for that execute to actually go off. And without being able to deal the damage, because that shield is blocking the damage from being able to be dealt, he's going to prevent it. Morgana able to get the root off onto Nautilus. A big combo coming out from Ezreal. He's got the damage he needs, but J4 comes in with the Cataclysm, and Ash comes in to finish them both off, preventing more comeback from coming through. Ash's damage is there for the triple kill. I apologize, it's a double kill, but it was a triple kill in our books. What a play from J4, keeping those two off of it. Urgot just falls like butter as Ash just flurries the arrows down to the very
What have you done? Oh no!
What a play!
Goodness gracious. I don't know if you saw what happened with T-Die there, but he got ulted by the Nautilus and then he arcane shifted into his team.
Which that's why they got caught out.
All three of them to be knocked up. Dragging it out goes, oh my goodness, they're all knocked up. Goes in, cataclysms them. Ezreal just burned E, and none of them have flash, and it's just a tragedy. It's genuinely a tragedy for top lane. As Jungle, what a blowout! Oh my goodness, almost 3xing the kills of top lane in that game. It's just an absolutely dominant victory. And the last kind of kills there, we could have seen top lane come back. They were starting to show a lot of promise. The Syndra was getting to that critical amount of stacks, which would have let her start just kind of pumping damage. And Ezreal as well, even though they didn't have the hottest early game in the world. I mean, it's against Ashe, right? Like, how do you really find anything against that champion? And even the Urgot to some extent was absolutely coming back. But of course, the Mundo was starting to get strong. They had about 600 stacks on the Heartsteel. They were really starting to pump some damage. But after all three of them got caught out, it was just GG beyond belief.
After that J4 ult came through, Ashe just pumped damage after damage after damage through. I feel like they let this Ashe get too far ahead, and she just kind of dominated this entire game. The CC that she had, Mundo can't go where he pleases if he cannot move because he's slowed too much, because there is nothing that prevents that slow from occurring unless Morgana's shield is used on him, which is kind of a waste. So unfortunately, Mundo passive only prevents the hard CC, the roots, the stuns, your knockups, whatever. Ashe slow is not prevented by Mundo goes where he pleases. And unfortunately, the cleavers, the daggers, the knives, the gunshots, and the gauntlets were not enough to put a stop to this jungle roster. Though they did come back a little bit, it just was not enough. And honestly, I am very impressed with this jungle roster. They hold quite a bit of team coordination off for this game. The macro was there, so they had the team cooperation, and it was right there for every single one of these players. Top laners are not typically accustomed to playing too much with their team, and that really
Right.
showed. Ratsu was a little out of position a lot of times. So he was able to be caught out because junglers are very used to seeing people who are caught out and going in on them.
Mm-hmm.
There just was not, there wasn't enough that top laner could do against this squad. Very well done
For sure,
by
for sure.
jungle.
Just as a little bit of a teaser for the next game coming up, just before we go on a quick little bit of a break, Buckby
This was
said,
support one.
it's time to put these junglers down. That's all he said. I believe this is Team Mid going head to head against Team
Oh,
Jungle because, of course, they did win. And again, Buckby says I need to put these junglers down. That's what they said, word for word. So I'm really excited to see what Buckby's got cooked up. I think they're an amazing player. They did get MVP of the series, but the big question is to see if they can carry their team to victory or will they crumble in the last game of the Role Rival series of the Ember Cinder League. My name is Gareth. This is Rebecca, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes with the last game. Well, my goodness, we got jungle versus mid, the reigning champions of the role rivals. Really seeing which role is superior. It's a little sad that we didn't get to see a support team coming in hot, but that's a okay. We still got to see a lot of amazing games regardless. And Rebecca, take a look at the bands here. Tell us what's going through your head right now.
I'm seeing a lot of bans from a lot of characters that were strong in the last game. Not a lot of other things going on here. You see the Rise, J4, Cassante. I did receive word before that Jinx was played by mid in the previous game. Uh, I don't know how good it was because I didn't see the last game from mid lane, but I know Bucky ended up pulling out a Jinx in the last game as a
Mm,
comfortable pick at the very least. So that the removal of that character definitely makes a pretty big change into this mid lane uh, thought process mindset. We'll see just the impact that can have. Obviously, these two lanes are going to be between mid and jungle the most team cooperative teams with their own individual abilities out of any lane
yeah, yeah.
because jungle and mid they need to excel as individuals but they also need to be working with everybody around them and they're used to
Mm,
doing this. So
for
it
sure.
makes sense that these are the two teams that we see here at the end. Bot laners are typically more solo oriented, and we saw that where they care a lot about themselves and playing safe,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they end up falling through because of it. We saw top laners; they were much more solo heavy. They want to make those big plays themselves and then come in and clean up, and they weren't able to do that in the previous game. So like this
Mm,
is we're seeing the shortcomings of those roles. I'm sure support, the reason why they ended up losing was because they were a little bit too passive, waiting for the prime opportunity to go
mm,
in, as opposed to
mhm.
just making the plays themselves. So, again, I didn't see the game. I'm just making a assumption based on
For
stereotypes
sure.
of
For
roles.
sure.
However, with the other two games that we have seen today, it does kind of add up because we did see the shortcomings of both the other roles. Uh, we will likely be seeing a lot of roaming here, a lot of power just coming through from this mid roster. We see Braum, we see Caitlyn, two champions that are very long ranged and very heavily able to, have an impact into fights very quickly, just because they have either range or mobility to be able to get in, to get out, whatever they need.
Mhm.
I love this Shyvana pick. I love this Shyvana pick so much, and it
Yeah,
hasn't been able to be played because it's been banned so much.
true, true.
I really want this to work out for jungle because I
Mm,
want to see the Shyvana be a menace
mhm.
to decimate with fire this mid lane roster. But we'll
For
see.
sure.
We'll see. And Bessa will
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
put up a fight against Shyvana, able to prevent her from doing too much. But with that being said, they are able to lock out a lot of top laners because they do have these bans.
Mhm.
So I don't know if Jungle has or I should say, the top laner of Jungle has the roster, has the experience of enough top laners to be able to beat Mbeza because Mbeza is a very big bully.
Mhm.
But it depends on how good the Mbeza actually is because we have no idea.
Not really.
It, it's going to be a tough matchup regardless. Either way, though, we'll be seeing the Ori ban as well as a very predominant mid laner.
Ooh,
Veigar being hovered here, I
I like that. Oh.
I like it as well, but I
Boo,
don't think it's good into
boo!
this
Go back
matchup.
to
I don't
Vicar.
think Veigar
Oh,
is the pick
man.
into this match. It's just the Lulu, the Shyvana. I
Yeah.
don't think that's what you want.
I mean
But I also don't think Annie is the call either. So we'll see.
it's an AoE stun. You could speed up Ambessa a little bit. I don't like personally, I would have liked to see the Vigar a lot more, but Annie, probably a little bit more stable, has certainly a more forgiving laning phase as well because the Q does refund some mana, whereas Vigar, you're just kind of out of luck if you
Yep.
run out of mana. Maokai picked up though. That's another interesting one. I do like it as a good response to the Mbessa.
I do have to remind you that if the tables were turned, I would show you no mercy. If Vagar was
That is true.
picked, there would be no mercy being shown. So,
That is true.
uh, I think they had to pick something a little weaker. They had to, otherwise it wouldn't be fair. You know,
I see. I see.
the little are you a little evil friend here? Whoa, the Vladimir being
Okay.
selected here for mid lane. That definitively puts Maokai into top because Maokai
Oh
cannot be
yeah.
played at mid lane. So I
I like that.
Vladimir versus Annie is a rough matchup for Annie. I
But Mundo again. Oh my goodness. Wait,
interesting.
we're getting so many Mundo games. I don't think J Dog is here, is he? No, they're not.
No, because
See,
J Dog was in top, so
yeah, exactly. So I'm surprised that we got Mundo. Who plays Mundo on mid? Because
everybody
Buckme
plays
doesn't play
Mundo.
it.
Let's face it, Mundo Go
Dan doesn't play it.
replaces.
Razor doesn't play it. Is it Soup that plays it?
Who's the top laner for
That might
this
be it.
roster?
I'm not gonna lie.
No, I'm pretty sure there's only one person who's actually playing top in the mid roster. Uh, mid roster
Yeah, I
is
think it's Soup. I'm
top.
not gonna lie.
It's I have the other names. I
For
have them
sure.
down as mid lane's jungler is 12th ranged 12th ranked mid.
Okay.
Razor is playing top lane here, that Mbessa.
Mm.
So 12th ranked mid is Dan. So Dan is
Oh,
playing that
Dan
jungle
is
here.
top, huh?
So
Okay.
Mundo is most likely going to be in the hands of Dan.
All
We'll
right.
see
All
Linda
right.
in mid after a we saw the Vagar during the All-Star game the other
That is
day.
true. That is true.
But
Very, very
unfortunately,
true.
they chose not to pick it up here. Sad, but it'll happen.
Well,
And Mr. MVP is in our bot lane here as ADC. Obviously, that
sure,
being
for sure.
Buckby, and Pot
Mhm.
of Greed as our support. So
Not bad. Not bad.
kind of a stacked roster, if you ask me. But we'll
Pretty
see if it
stacked, yeah.
truly is stacked or if Jungle might just come out on top here. The not really the lane being the lane dominant team. Not exactly what I would have expected, but it does kind of make sense. We'll see
For
if
sure.
mid lane is able to roam enough. They're able to get enough alpha their picks. But it might just be it. I I I I am receiving word here that Mbessa is Dan's main champion. So we
Okay.
might be
Okay.
seeing the Mundo on top with Mbessa in jungle, which
For sure. For sure.
I mean, I used to play Mbessa in jungle like a really, really long time ago. I feel like
Oh
there's better
yeah.
positions for her to be in. I don't know if
Right.
they're
Right.
allowed to switch up who is in top lane or not. Because
I
I
wouldn't
don't know if
imagine so.
Dan would be put top lane.
I wouldn't imagine that they could switch up the laners, but one thing that I am kind of hoping for is the Shyvana to go into Jake's hands because we already know how much this guy can carry. Now, if we're not able to switch up before the game start, then maybe that could be a bit of a problem because I know for a fact that Jake does have a ridiculous All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the final game of the role rivals of the Ember Cinder League. Staring off in this matchup, we have two legendary teams. We've got jungle on the blue side, and on the red side, we've got mid. And oh my goodness, we're taking a look at these picks here. Are we really surprised at these picks? Me, a little bit. We got dragged it out very fittingly on the Shyvana, so I think they are going to be having a bit of a character buff here. You know, they're getting in the zone. Jake, you know, traditionally a jungler and traditionally a very good Shyvana, mind you, is going to be on the Vladimir this time. Igank and Tycon on the Ashe and Lulu respectively, and Yup Flow on the Maokai, which is interesting. We don't really see a lot of Maokai tops.
No, it hasn't been a champion that's been relevant in a couple seasons, but Maokai is still able to be played in basically every single role but mid and bot lane. So, you know, it's a pretty safe pick to be played. However, I did receive a little bit of information while we were on our break. I found out that Dan actually used to be a jungler for one of the previous teams.
No way.
Yeah, so one of their strongest picks was Mbessa. So this is them kind of making a little bit of a throwback to their previous days in this league. I'm looking forward to it. I don't remember. I haven't been around that long. So maybe this could be an opportunity for Dan to really shine as the jungle player that hasn't gotten the opportunity to play in a long time. I don't know. Well, again, I've never seen it. So
all right.
I'm looking forward to it, though, at the very least. In the meantime, we do have Buckby, as you mentioned before, on this ADC Caitlyn. I feel like it's a little safe of a pick after Jinx in the last game. You know, it seems just. I don't think it was the call, especially when the Ashe was picked first. And we saw how relevant and how powerful the Ashe was in that previous game from Igank.
Sure.
I just don't. I don't know if that was the call. Mundo getting quite a bit of damage off onto this Maokai and is going to be able to take up first blood here. Flash comes through from both of them, but not enough to get Maokai out. So here we are. We are 1 kill in already. Mundo is already getting ahead. Shyvana ends up being able to take that Scuttle Crab, but Mbessa is already in such a fast clear that not only has she taken the Scuttle Crab already before Shyvana even gets there, but she's already backed as well. So the speed of this Mbessa clear is baffling to me. I did not expect them to be this fast. They ended up starting Krugs, actually, and I really want to take a minute to mention Linda is doing really, really well on this Annie time after time again. Yes, she's low on mana right now, but we've seen a couple here and there. The amount of poke that Linda's actually doing on this Annie to Jake is just, it's too much for Jake to actually be able to put up with. He's not going to be able to go in. He's not going to be able to do too much early on, and he doesn't seem to be really respecting that Annie.
Very, very true. But I want to keep paying attention towards this bot lane because I feel like this is kind of like the last bastion of hope for jungle, because up in mid, you know, Mundo, he's already got the kill and he has a terrible early game. I mean, I guess Maokai, it doesn't really have the best early game either. But with how fast Dan has been able to clear, it is going to be kind of throwing off Shyvana because she is supposed to clear fast. Like, she's kind of a permanent clear champion until she hits level 6, whereas Mbessa, I mean, kind of the same deal. You know, public execution is a great tool, but I feel like she can still kind of maneuver herself around these ganks even before level 6. But Igank as well, right? They were playing Ashe in the last game, and they've already dealt with a Mundo. I feel like they can do it again this time, but Razors for Life is definitely going to be having a very different approach than J-Dog was.
I don't know here. Well, J-Dog. Oh, you're saying for the Mundo. That makes sense. Because obviously the last game, Mundo was being played in jungle. Now it's being played at top lane. It's completely different playstyle. One is more poke heavy, while the other one is just kind of run them down, try to get the little off. Speaking of little rough fights, though, Mundo is level 6 here. Doesn't end up popping maximum dosage. Doesn't actually have to. Potions are popped, but that full Giant's Belt is really making a pretty substantial difference on this fight. There, Yup ends up going in yet again, and as Maokai, you can't do that early. You can't get away with bullying a Mundo in this early game. Ambessa takes out the first dragon before Shyvana even gets there. And because Shyvana ended up taking a bot lane gank instead. So here we are with Shyvana, a champion who's supposed to excel at taking dragons. I mean, her whole passive kind of revolves around it. And not able to get the benefit of first dragon at all. And it's a mountain drake. So it's going to make a really big impact, especially for Braum. I feel like there's more engage from this mid roster. I feel like speaking of engage, just flash some tippers.
Yeah.
Congrats, you
Pretty
killed Jay.
solid.
Yeah. Enough said.
Pretty much. I mean, yeah, Vladimir's a really good laner for staying alive, but once his pool is down, he's really not that special. He's not crazy tanky in the early game, and he doesn't have a crazy amount of damage to really fight back with. Whereas Annie, obviously, her burst isn't like the best in the game, but she certainly has nice range.
Yeah, no, those auto attacks really do hurt, especially with the range that they've got, like you said. And she just is a safe champion that Vladimir really can't go in all too much on him, because he gets stunned under tower if he ends up trying to tower dive with it. So we'll see a gank coming through here from Shyvana. I don't know if she's going to be able to do too much, especially with that stun, but stun is down now, and we'll see if he re-engages, but Ambessa ends up coming in from that left flank. We'll see. I don't think there's really going to be much that Vlad is actually able to do with the situation. I don't think there's going to be any kind of fight.
No, I wouldn't say it's really hard as a Shyvana to try to pick fights early without that extra first dragon to kind of kick off your passive, because I feel like Shyvana is one of the most snowbally junglers in the game, because if you can get a couple dragons early, you will more or less be unstoppable. But if you don't get those couple dragons early, you don't have a passive. You're down like 1/5 of a champion's power, which really is something massive. And
I'd say it's even bigger than 1/5, honestly.
Really? Okay.
I think Shyvana kind of revolves around his passive, especially now with this reworked Shyvana. That there's too much value that comes out of it. Pot of Greed ending up roaming to get these grubs here. Not going to see that from Tycon here. So, it's that relevance that the support is having in other lanes, I think is going to make a big difference on this game. Razor try to take this fight here, knowing that their support and their jungle are right there, able to help if needed. They won't end up coming into this fight because it's not necessarily required. They're looking for something at the very least. Braum trying to get some kind of thing out of it, but Shyvana ends up going into mid lane, taking out Linda with a very powerful fashion. Maokai trying to get out of this one. Mundo has to pop the maximum dosage.
Oh.
He is going to be able to get out. Pot of Greed takes up a shot. So does Dan, and they are just out of that one pretty safely. Not the mid laners that you would expect. Keep in mind, this is mid lane. These are not top laners. The tower dive there was very well executed and timed those shots perfectly to be able to keep everyone alive. Very well done by mid lane.
I will say there was a huge investment from the side of mid. They burned flashes, they burned ultis, they burned an ignite. There was a lot that was taken out of the hands just to kill off Yupflow, which I guess does make sense. You want to get the kill as soon as possible down to the bot lane, though. Bit of a kill onto Buckby. Yes, they do get it, but a flash expended. Same with a couple ultis as well. They're maybe a bit of an overcommit from both sides there on their respective sides of the map. Regardless, it was a big investment from mid. Now this Ambessa is flashless for the next 4-ish minutes at this point, which is definitely going to be a big timer, because as of right now they're kind of ransacking Shyvana's jungle. Now they're going to be even farther behind, and I don't think that there's really a lot for them to steal on the blue side.
Ambessa is just such a big lane bully in general. I think being played in this jungle, Shyvana really can't take that fight. I mean, she can't take a fight anyways, normally, whenever she doesn't have her ultimate to begin with. But on top of the fact that, talk about Ambessa! There goes the public execution, able to get Yupflow there. And even with the Maokai ultimate, I don't think he's going to be able to get out of this one. Mundo shows his dominance by flashing in and securing that kill. stopping Maokai from getting that escape that he was looking for. So we are now 1.2k cut all up for this mid top laner. Actually, showing just how much damage she's actually able to put out. Caitlyn not having the burst yet, not able to do too much eye gank just as of yet. However, we are going to see Dragon coming in with the Shyvana ult to be able to dish out enough damage to at least pot a greed.
And
But the stun does come through from the Braum.
Tygon,
and
look at
Ash, the ace in the hole was not able to be prevented by Tycon. Flash was up on Lulu. She was able to flash onto that one, but unfortunately let our wonderful dragon die. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Annie is taking out Vlad yet again, and honestly, that's just this game is very heavily mid favored at this point. We're seeing yet another dragon going on the side of Dan. There's no pressure going on to that one. Nobody's showing up for it. Dragon has to give it up because he's not there and he doesn't have ultimate. So there's not a lot they can actually do about the situation. Dragon is so far behind on this Shyvana, despite the slight gold advantage. It's just the only person who's ahead at all on this jungle roster. Everybody else is significantly far behind compared to their laners. And this is going to make a pretty big difference to this game. We're coming up on support items and just quests in general being completed on the mid lane roster, while the junglers are just not done with their quests anywhere close, at least from what we can see. I think that there's a little bit of the speed differential that we saw from that top lane against jungle last game. The speed that they actually have, the advantage that they gained from the roster that they have, from the players to the champions to everything. Just the overall speed differential that mid lane has against jungle here is really just being fully utilized in general.
Absolutely, and we're seeing this Annie kind of take a bit of a detour on mid lane, but it's so hard for the bot lane to actually do anything here because the poke from Caitlyn and the safety from the Braum makes it basically impossible for jungle to really get Buckby out of lane or even get any kills for that matter. You just can't really shut down the Caitlyn. It looks like there was a bit of a shutdown on the mid lane on Linda, their second best champion, dare I say. It's
Ash got the arrow off, actually. That's the reason why Annie ended up falling there.
I see. Yeah, honestly, it's a nice snipe. iGank has been really, really good on these Ash arrows. We saw them a lot in game number 2. They were hitting, just arrow after arrow on very critical targets. Up in the top lane, though, isn't a critical enough target? I don't really know. They're two beefcakes kind of smacking each other. Nothing too crazy going on there. But bot lane, though, a nice public execution onto dragging it out. My apologies. Soon to be Jake, as they just barely avoid the trap and do cancel the ace in the hole.
No, Ash, ace in the hole still is up. It ended up being canceled a little early because Jake ended up popping W just before it ended up being shot. So ace in the hole is still up. It didn't actually get shot out yet. So that was a little premature from Jake. There was a little bit of just I want to say it's just they're trying to be a little proactive, this jungle team, and instead they're being too proactive. They're using their abilities early, and they're falling because of it. We've seen it with the Maokai in this top lane, trying to utilize that combo early on. We've seen Shyvana try to get combos off, but end up using their cooldowns early and not being able to get all the kills because of it. I think there was a Vlad ult that was just used as well. I don't know what happened there. I see the Vlad ult just went on cooldown, so not too sure on that one.
I guess not. I guess Vladimir maybe not the best choice for Jake. They certainly did a phenomenal job. Oh no, the synergy. Crystal arrow goes to the moon. Unfortunately, not the Mundo. That's quite rough. I think Yupflow is going to be getting a couple question marks for that one.
Yeah, yeah,
That's really
the
unlucky.
poop out of the way from Yupflow there was a little questionable, but
It's a little
I do
suspect,
think
some
that
might-
he might redeem himself here. Uh, the questionable Braum shield, it looked like ended up getting hit by the Ash arrow first, or by an Ash arrow first, stopping that from ended up going off.
Oh, no.
And as a result, it didn't have the shield to be able to block the projectile of that Maokai ultimate, so he did end up getting rooted by it, and it will end up having him get caught off guard. Caitlyn drops the Shyvana from a long-range shot. Annie gets Ash, able to get that pick that they were looking for, and they are just running down this Lulu. Maokai not going to be able to get too much to help, and unfortunately, it does look like Lulu has hit the Mundo.
Yeah, she's
Mundo
done.
Mundo go right, pleases. It does appear a little unfortunate for Yupflow here. They might just want to back. If they stand a turret, I feel like they're just gonna fall. Because Mundo does have ultimate here. Max Mendoza just gonna be popped.
Yes, he
yeah,
does.
yeah, no, they should fight off.
Yeah, they found
Unfortunate.
out the hard way that he had ulti. I feel like if he didn't have ulti, they could have played it. They would have still died for it, but they could have traded 1-for-1. But unfortunately, you know, Mundo is just a little bit too strong right now. I don't see any anti-heal on the side of jungle, and I don't really see any anti-heal on the side of mid either. So, you know, maybe they're both going to even out a little bit if this Vladimir gets enough items, you know, picks up the Spirit Visage, or sorry, Spirit Visage. They are start going to hit a little bit harder, but man, oh man.
I don't know how this Mbeza is doing, because she's got that clear speed that she wanted from that early game. She's getting these dragons. I don't think she's necessarily being a better jungler than Dragon here, but I think that they have the better team to back them up at the very least. You'd think that a team made up of junglers would know how to support a jungler, but it does seem like mid lane is able to demonstrate just why they're in mid lane, able to support their junglers a little bit more than we'd expect from maybe a jungle roster. Oh, big Ash Crystal Arrow coming through onto this Caitlyn, caught out alone.
All right.
We're gonna be questioning Mark Buckby there. I know I am. I don't know what that was about, but questionable. This public execution comes out onto the Shyvana, able to get a little bit off. Wild growth popped on Shyvana as well to try to just keep her alive, but she's not going to live for very much longer. Ash Arrow's not able to do enough to this Mbeza. Ooh, but the Annie shows up, able to stun iGank out of another Ash play. That's not what you want. Jake,
Not
Jake,
quite.
honey. Jake. Jake.
He gets given a ride by Corporate Mundo, but it's just to his grave, not anywhere fancy. Unfortunately, that's not so good. You know, we were talking about how mid's comp really is only better at the later the game goes on. And the Shyvana still not having any luck around the dragons. I do want to say that it's over. I'm not gonna lie, but last time I did say it was over, like in game 2, I called it in the champ select. I didn't think that mid was gonna win it. Or sorry, I didn't think jungle was going to win it, but they absolutely did. So maybe I'm wrong again, and jungle really is set to win this one.
They have a chance here. They really do. It's slim, but their chance ends up coming out from relying on Jake's ultimate. The Vladimir ult does increase all damage dealt to all foes who are hit by it, and if they're able to utilize it and make everyone vulnerable on this mid roster, Jake might just be able to tank up enough with the backup of Maokai to be able to stop and enable the roster of jungle to dish out enough damage between Shyvana and between Ash. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to come through. I think there's just not enough experience on the Vladimir here from Jake. I can see there's a little bit of a hindrance on that. I just don't think they have the understanding of the champion fully. I don't think it's their fault necessarily. It's just that Linda is just, well,
Yeah,
a mid laner.
Linda's Linda.
They're just a mid laner.
For sure.
It's not on you, Jake. You showed that you're very capable of playing your champions. It's just that, unfortunately, you're playing against somebody who's very much used to playing in mid lane. Don't take it personally.
For sure, for sure. The Rise game was definitely insanely good, considering they'd only played Rise a couple times in ARAM. Like, not even
Really?
like an actual full, like, normal draft game. They just played it in ARAM twice. And, like, that was enough for them to go on an absolutely monstrous killing spree. But unfortunately, the Vladimir is just not the best against Annie, you know? Annie's got fire. Kind of reminds Vladimir of Ignite, which is, you know, grievous wounds. And he's like, Ignite, bad! And he just dies. He just falls over and dies.
I mean, Annie also brought that Ignite, which I feel like is very beneficial.
For sure.
That none of this jungle roster actually brought. No one brought Ignite on jungle roster. Mundo just going where he pleases.
No.
There's just no other way to explain it but going where he pleases. He's literally just getting to walk away from three different people here. Lulu, Ashe, and Maokai. They're still trying to take out this Mundo, and he will eventually fall. However, not without Ashe getting picked off for the public execution. However, so much support coming off onto iGank, but he still falls. Holy smokes. The fact that iGank still fell from that, Dan, claps, serious claps, dude. There's no reason why iGank should have lived through that, or should have died. Like, they had the support that they needed, but I don't know what happened there to prevent iGank from living. I think maybe there might have been a polymorph that might have been used on an ally, maybe to increase attack speed instead of
maybe
preventing damage. But either way, props to Dan for getting that pick.
Sure.
It doesn't look like they're gonna make too much out of it, but even still, it's still just delayed into this fight at the very least. Maokai a little out of position here, but not as much as Braum is.
He's out of place. Buckby, what are you doing? Oh, never mind. He's got Linda there.
He's got the
He's chilling. Yeah, no, never mind. He's fine.
It's not the end of the world. Mundo shows up a little later, unfortunately, for the side of jungle, but I don't think they're wanting to fight this one either. It looks like they're just gonna try to.
I think they have to give here anyways.
This is Soul Point. This is the dragon that.
Right. It's
as Shyvana, you don't want this. This is the worst possible situation you could be in. And unfortunately, Shyvana also hopped over the wall early and is going to get killed because of it. That is going to prevent any hope of stopping this dragon from being taken by mid lane here.
Yeah, pretty much. And I think Maokai is just next on the chopping block. Pun intended, because you do chop a tree. But Jake actually going to make their way onto the back line. Can they find Buckby here? They do a good amount of damage. Zonia's popped, but I don't think it's going to be enough. And Linda shuts them down once again. And jungle, you don't have a soul. You're looking to not have a Baron either. And mid is looking to just take over this game. You know, they might just run it down mid after this Baron and just completely just end the game here.
Yeah, their relevance in that lane in general. Not to mention the fact that they're just winning all of the other lanes. But Linda is just so far ahead of Jake at this point. I feel like there's no coming back from this. I mean, I've been proven wrong in the past. I think that there might be a chance in hell if they end up getting Elder Drake, maybe. But they've really got to push it together. They've really got to just. Jake has to be able to play safe here, to play as a utility mage, as opposed to playing as aggressive as he currently is, and it's just not happening.
Sure.
Vladimir is such a powerful champion, even when he's behind, but only if he's able to utilize his ultimate effectively, and we haven't seen that basically all game. We saw the attempted assassination of Caitlyn in that last fight, but even that wasn't enough to actually be able to finish her off. I don't think that that Jake is able to do what he's looking to do in this situation, and needs to change up his playstyle, but it might be a little too late for that.
Certainly very, very true. But now, if we take a look here, it's just such a hard situation for jungle because now they're down a soul. They have no dragons to their name, and they're also down a Baron buff. And on the side of mid, they can kind of just do whatever they want. You know, we're seeing Mundo here. He's been tanking the tower for like 5 shots, and he's still diving a tank player. He's diving a tank, and he's getting away with it. Again, mid can just kind of walk all over them, and jungle really doesn't have any responses here. Their best hope is to try to rush down this tier 3 mid tower, or this tier 4 mid tower, I guess technically, in the mid lane, just to try to crack open the spaces. Jake looks to bite the dust, unfortunately, and now it's just from bad to worse. I think the game is called. I think mid has won this one.
Yeah, no, Vladimir just doesn't have the items that he needs. There's a needlessly large rod that was purchased, looks like, but unfortunately Mundo doesn't really care. He's just able to just walk through everybody. You got 546 stacks on Heartsteel alone, with Warmogs on top of that to boot. Doesn't even have the Spirit Visage yet, and is still able to out-heal everything. They do now have anti-heal, IG picking it up, but not as fast as they did in that previous game that we saw and made such an impact on the Mundo. Unfortunately, just not early enough. It's too late. You purchased it so early in the previous game, but unfortunately it's not finding the value because it wasn't purchased as early as previously. Shyvana does fall, followed by Lulu.
Yeah.
And at this point, Vladimir is not far behind.
Not
It's
too
picking
far.
off the Annie, but again, as Vlad, you need to be more utility in this kind of situation, and it just wasn't there.
For sure.
Mid taking this one by a 14k gold lead,
Yeah, that's
getting all 4 dragons and a Baron against a jungle.
and 3 grubbies.
They
They got literally everything here.
This was not even close, unfortunately, for this
Not
jungle
quite.
roster. But I do think the fact that, you know, Dan might be a mid lane player now, but I think the fact that they were a jungle, it really showed in this past game. I don't think it was as much of a lot of work from necessarily Buckby and from Pot of Greed. I feel like the bot lane kind of just, they weren't bad, but they just kind of were there. They had a pretty average game. Like it wasn't anything to like write home about, but it wasn't anything bad by any means. They did exactly what they needed to do, and they were just fine with that. The big key takeaway points though, Razor, Dan, and Linda all on this team, just
For sure.
popping off so fantastically. I think that those are the 3 people that this mid lane has really been able to shine. Buckby definitely. I think mid laners are role, dude. Obviously the overall MVP in general, definitely, you know, able
Jake.
to do a lot of ability. Oh, I meant in general the overall MVP.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Is Buckby.
For sure.
But I don't think that the fact that you weren't able to play mid lane just, I think that kind of took away from it. I feel like maybe playing in support might have been a better call. Having your ability to play the mages still, well, like that was the strength that your team as a mid can bring, is if you have those mages in bot lane. So either way, you guys still won. You played fantastically. It doesn't really make a difference. So while I'm going on and on about this, Jake, you did phenomenally. Like, be happy you did so well against that top lane game, because that was incredible. Mad props. Rise is not a champion that is easy to play, and you picked it up for like, what was the 2nd time you said? 3rd time?
Yeah,
And
like that was basically his 3rd time on Rise.
So honestly, that's when you take it, you're happy, you're good to go. Shyvana was a little rough for that roster. Just wasn't getting the support it needed. The Ashe wasn't able to get there in all of those fights. And unfortunately, Tycon was just not as relevant in this game as they were in the previous game, as that Nautilus. I feel like it was just because they were playing that Enchanter support that it wasn't the engage that they're used to playing on jungle. So they don't have as much of experience in that play style at the very least.
Yeah, for sure. One of the if I was gonna nominate an MVP here, I would absolutely have to give it to Pod of Greed. Easily, tied for the
Really?
highest KD, but the least amount of deaths. This guy was going absolutely crazy this game.
I mean, I think he was really relevant. I gotta give it to Mundo.
Okay,
He's got
yeah,
the
fair
same
enough.
KDA. I just think that the Mundo was so just there in your face the entire game.
Mhm,
Razor really showed just how powerful this Mundo can be if he goes where he pleases.
for sure.
What a wonderful performance, just from everyone, honestly. But with that being said, our cash money prize does go out to mid lane here, uh, and I do want to say that on behalf of Ember League, it was wonderful having everybody out here for this Ember Cinder League, as we are
Mhm.
concluding the summer season for Cinder League. All the other leagues are still going on. We still got playoffs for everyone else, but this is our final match for Cinder League. And for everyone who participated, thank you so much. And it was a pleasure watching every single one of your games. It really was. It doesn't matter what team anyone was on, each and every game was more interesting than the last, even with these World Rivals games. It was just entertaining to watch. It felt like a game, it felt like a show every single
Mhm.
time. So well done to everyone who did play. But mid lane, congratulations on your victory and on your bragging rights,
Mhm.
because you deserve them here. This game was so in your favor that I don't think anybody could have stood a chance, even if you did play every single team.
Honestly, probably not. Like that was it was a very, very dominant win, but I honestly couldn't say that ending any better myself. So you know what, Rebecca, I'm gonna give you the floor one last time. Give us a nice little send off and a big thank you to everyone for sticking through for the entire season. But that's the last from me.
Well, I guess I'll take this one then. 25-8 is our final score for mid versus jungle on our Role Rivals Ember Cinder League match.